will start. Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for being here today, for the opportunity to walk through this new law and process with you. My name is Ben Johnson. I am the Deputy Commissioner for Programs and Services with the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs. I am an active duty veteran of the United States Navy. Did 3 deployments in 6 years, and I'm back and have been working with the state of Minnesota now this is my 12th year with the agency, working on behalf of veterans in the state of Minnesota. I've got a couple of members of my team with me here today. Got John Kelly and Dan Tangwall. John, would you introduce yourself a little?
Hi, how's it going? I'm John Kelly. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for MDVA, and I see a lot of familiar faces from our many legislative hearings we did together. So I'm glad to be here with everybody now on the implementation of this new law. I am an active duty and reserve veteran of the Army. I am an Afghanistan veteran, and I've been with the state of Minnesota for 10 years, and 2 with the Department of Health. So excited to be here with all of you explaining this. And then with me is Dan Tangwall from my team, and I'll let him introduce himself as well.
Hey everybody, Dan Tangwall, Army vet. Thanks for your service. Former County Veteran Service Officer, and I worked at the Veteran Health Administration for a while, and now I'm with the MDVA, and I'll just be helping with the process. These are the important people, right? But yeah, good to be here.
John Yang, I am the Executive Director for Minnesota AAPI Veterans and still current service active member for Air National Guard. So I've been a volunteer helping out the SGU, mostly with the Honor Guards piece and the bill. So I'm going to pass it on to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the Congress. I'm Yang Kang, so the VP from SGU veteran. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Yi Hang. I'm a retired Army Colonel, 27 years active duty. Right now I work with John as part of the Minnesota AAPI Veterans Association. So first of all, I want to thank all the distinguished guests here for your work in passing this historic legislation. It's long overdue. Thank you for recognizing the services and sacrifice of my elders, my father included, so we appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Noah Van. I'm with SGU Veterans and Families of USA organization.
Good afternoon. My name is Sanu. I advisory for the SGU veteran in February.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ning Chong. I'm an SGU office manager.
Good afternoon. My name is Nelson Shaw. I was one of the SGU veterans.
GPS signal lost.
Good afternoon. My name is Lang Thao. I am SGU veteran. Thank you.
Yep. My name is Gao Li. I am former lieutenant. And my ID is 293509. I'm an HCU.
My name is Sugar Yang, SGU veteran. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Roger Yang, and I'm working for Lao Mong Vietnam Veterans Agency. Thank you.
My name is Hua Yang. I'm SGU veteran. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Captain Zhong Ye Cha. I was the commander the company in Laos was fighting every day. Thank you.
My name is Cha Kong Tao. Thank you for coming today. Thanks so much.
Just representative. I don't know.
Oh, it's okay. Just say who you are.
Oh, to your name.
Okay. My name is former Lieutenant Ji Zhao. I'm with the Red Group, and I'm here interested to find out what benefit we're going to get. Thank you.
My name is Charles Shaw. I'm the Vice President of Laverton.
Good
afternoon, everyone. My name is Tijay Tapanya, and former Lieutenant AT-28 pilot fighter bomber, Royal Air Force during the Vietnam War, during the Secret War in Laos. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, thank you very much for the help us over here for opportunity for the benefit. My name is Susan Pha, and I am the Vice President of the Lao Armed and Special Guerrilla Unit. So that I served 1969 until 75. So on behalf of the Lao veterans today, so thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Polichat, former surgeon at SGU, and served in 1970 to 74 in Laos.
Well, it's an honor to be here with you all today, to be in a room with so many warriors. So, what a great thing to kick off, next week being, 4th of July and everything. And this is really cool. I can't say enough. First of all, thank you for showing up. So many people saw you for 2 years at the Capitol, pushing for this, and it had an impact. You filled a lot of hearing rooms, you had a lot of meetings, and we were able to execute on this with unanimous support from the legislature twice. And we were also able to navigate some interesting dynamics during the task force to get to what we think is a solid process for establishing your eligibility for benefits from the state of Minnesota. So what I have prepared here is a slide deck that will walk through an overview of the law, as well as the eligibility process both with the federal VA and the state, as well as, we don't want this to be a one-way conversation. So the second piece of our presentation revolves around how can we partner with the organizations here in this room to get the word out to all of the veterans, and how we can make this, I want to be very clear, and this is a stated goal from Commissioner Lindsay and Deputy Commissioner Johnson and myself, that we make this as easy as possible to navigate bureaucracy. You've had to wait long enough. We want to make this as painless as possible for you. And we want to help you, and we are required by state law to help you. So this isn't something we're doing just because you are, this is state law in Minnesota. This is a state program in Minnesota, and we're duty bound to carry out this program with the same level of excellence that we do all of our other veterans programs. And I would put us up in the Pepsi Challenge with any other state veterans agency in terms of delivering services for veterans, and we're going to do the same for SGU veterans. So with that, we could go to the first slide here. I'm just going to stand up, and Ben, feel free to jump in at any time. Thank you. So at the conclusion of the 2026 legislative session, the Minnesota legislature passed unanimously the Veterans and Military Affairs Omnibus Bill, and the governor signed it into law. Many of the folks in this room were there. It was a great day. So Minnesota Laws Chapter 96 finalized state statute for SGU. So that's Minnesota Statutes 197.448. That is the SGU statute. That is now finalized. It is the only way I've ever seen this done. We kind of did it halfway last year, and we finished it this year, but it's done. And it's state law. So this new section of law establishes the eligibility determination process for veterans of the Secret War in Laos. And it makes these veterans eligible for specific state benefits after they are verified. Next slide, please. So, and I understand this is wordy, and I want to say at the front end that we are currently working with the State Department of Administration to have translated documents that will walk you through that process, that will be on the accessible on our website. So while this is in English, we are going to have the documents that explain how to apply in Hmong, Lao, Vietnamese, and Cambodian, or Khmer, and not just in English. So please know that we are going to make every effort to accommodate the English not being the first language for many of these veterans. But this presentation is largely in English, but there are translated materials available. I sent them on. There's right now we have the Hmong document. We are waiting on the other 3 languages to be done with translation services. So I just want to say that up front. So what is in the final list of benefits? So veteran, SGU veteran designation on the Minnesota driver's license and ID card. Well, this law goes into effect July 1st, so next week. The SGU designation on the driver's license has a delayed implementation, and so that will not be in effect, but they are ready to go. Part of the law that passed last year, that certificate of eligibility from the department is already created in a template. It's built into their system. So once our veterans have this and it's live at Driver and Vehicle Services, a verified SGU veteran will be able to bring that paperwork to the registrar and get their driver's license. So that is all set up. They just need time to do the IT component of that to make it fit on the driver's license. So they got a delayed implementation. Everything else on this list is July 1st. Honor guards from congressionally chartered veteran service organizations can be reimbursed by MDVA for providing services at the funerals of a deceased veteran. This benefit is $50. It is a $50 reimbursement for the local veteran service organizations. That is a process. We've updated our process with our finance team to add SGU to that form already. So once we start, and we've worked with the Commander's Task Force, which is all the VFW, Senator Pha, do you want to say a few words? I can take a quick tea here.
Okay, thank you. One, I want to say thank you so much to Deputy Commissioner Johnson and Mr. Kelly. And thank you everyone for coming today, especially to John Yang for organizing this with us. It's so important. I'm sorry I'm late. Today was a very important day for early voting. So I had to go and early vote, and that's why it kind of kicked off the rest of my day a little bit late here. But I would appreciate everyone being here today. We're going to get a lot of work done, and I'm going to let you continue, and then we'll have some more discussion later. But thank you for being here.
Yep. So, again, nothing stops. Yes, go ahead.
What is the cost, or how much is the cost for number 1 if they were to go through the DMV?
Veteran designation on the Minnesota driver's license, I don't think there's a cost.
Okay.
It's just, it's a renewal, it's
part
of.
What you pay to get a license.
Yes, when you pay to get your driver's license, like you would anyway, you can, it'll be a thing you can tick off. I have I'll show you.
So for example, if some of these have existing driver's license or IDs, right?
Yep.
But if they want to get it replaced, will there be a cost associated with that?
Yes.
If they go to DMV?
Yes.
Okay.
So either
it's like
wait
a
for your
renewal?
renewal,
Okay.
or if you want to pay extra because you want it on the driver's license, you're going to have to pay.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you. That's a great question. And again, even if an SGU veteran, and we'll get it through the whole process. So if an SGU veteran on July 2nd submitted their paperwork, and U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs turned that paperwork around on July 6th, and they gave it to us, and on July 8th, they got a piece of paper from the department, you would be eligible for all the other stuff on this list, but the driver's license piece is a delayed implementation date, so you would not be able to get that from DVS yet, because they don't have the system in place to create that spot on the driver's license. So that is, I think, Matt, is that a January 1st?
Yeah.
January 1st, 2027 is when that benefit will be available. So if you already have your driver's license and it's not due, wait until January and do it. Or if you're just gonna wait once it's into 2027, July 1st or January 1st and after, you'll just be able to get it.
But that's when you should file, like, for
Correct.
your renewal or whatever. Like, don't file in December.
Don't do it early.
Yeah, don't do it in December.
Correct.
Just, okay.
Wait until after it's in effect. The honor guard reimbursement, again, if there are veterans there's nothing stopping a veteran service organization from doing this without reimbursement now. So if there are veterans that are in the process and unfortunately pass on, if you have a veterans organization that's willing to do the rifle honors, they're just not going to get paid, or you could pay them out of pocket from your family, however you want to do it. But for the state reimbursement for this, it's only eligible veterans who are verified by the state of Minnesota.
And John, have you stopped there? I'm
Yep.
just going to interpret that in Hmong.
Okay.
Quick, okay? Because that's a really
Yep.
key part that we're going to talk about later. I know that John, honor guard na ya, la tua no la ya ito nang siya la wa inung dang na, yo tua ke ha flag ke yo tua o ke kai da show ke na pu tu draw na la veteran organization na na. Ke ha nu I be timing ji dia ya be mo tho mi ka kong hậu la wa to pe na ke de shi no nyu to la ke veteran organization la. Bây cái trong bây cái bằng nâng tàu bây cái nâng xiên cái trong nè cái lỡ chỉ mua họ capacity là phát bây ở để xử lý John hay nè ít họ bây hoàn tàu nè có yếu chỉ tôi ít lúc còn hậu là recognize federally là thành điểm mất tàu họ chỉ kêu đó là thì đó lúc còn hậu nữa một của họ đây nụ nữa đồ tung năng xiên đó để xử giờ bây giờ họ chỉ kêu đồ là nè bây giờ một chạy của ý dạng của bây giờ còn hộ tại sĩ nó nè bây giờ SGU còn hộ tại sĩ đó bây giờ veteran còn hộ tại sĩ đó bây giờ một chạy của rồi bây giờ nè chưa thì bây giờ họ chỉ kêu đồ là nè vì thì bây giờ ít lúc còn hộ muốn đông tới một federal recognize bây nè cái họ nói mấy họ nhớ rồi bây đi thầu John thảm mình chỉ thì sĩ nó bây mỗi cái năng xỉa thì sĩ bây một thọ chỉ đâu lỡ tới rồi bây nó cái ít khỏi nó nó bé xã xã làm mình chỉ được xã đời nè, để dùng nó thả nó tập bé mà xã làm gì á, để sĩ cũ thả mình mẹ khỏi nó hay nó để, giờ bé xã lại bé mua bé giờ còn hậu ở tàu này kì, bé xã hay họ cho họ chỉ kêu đó là mình mẹ thế này giờ, nó mua mình mẹ ở hay để xin chữ đâu lúc còn hậu nó mà bắt ở đâu cũng năng xỉn nữa, bé giờ chỉ tàu nông tới từ federal để bé ở tàu bé tàu họ chỉ kêu đó là bé một chạy ở bé cái năng tí dạng cầu á. And
just quick addition. So is the American Legion and VFW aware of this too?
Yes, so we raised this with the Commander's Task Force at the most recent meeting. And the American Legion is working on a database or a spreadsheet of the posts that have honor guards. But they're all a Google search away, and most posts have rifle honors. So, and you can talk to them, but we have asked the adjutants, which are the like permanent staff, executive director kind of positions of the big three, so Disabled American Veterans, VFW, and the Legion, to make their posts aware that this is law and that these veterans are eligible for this benefit. So we are, as part of the implementation, working with the veteran service organizations to make sure they're ready to do rifle honors for SGU veterans. And so the word is getting out. The CTF was represented in the task force, so they're tracking this. They've been involved in this the whole time. So this is another one where we are going to be doing everything we can to get the word out, and we'll get to that later in the presentation about how we can partner. My understanding is that AMVETS is also working on potentially having a post where they will be able to just have a rifle squad. Also, I don't want to get too over my skis or get out ahead, but if we never did this law, you SGU veterans are already eligible to be buried at Fort Snelling if you're verified by the National Cemetery Administration. That's the federal cemetery. So Fort Snelling, if you're verified through this process, we did this intentionally, you will basically have 5 choices of veteran cemetery if that's the choice of the veteran. Fort Snelling National Cemetery, which has its own rifle squad, or Little Falls, Redwood Falls, Duluth, or Preston State Veteran Cemetery. So that is part of why we nested this in this. Also, if there is future legislation where they expand federal benefits for SGU veterans, you will already be in the system, verified by the Secretary of the Veterans Affairs Department, We tried to nest this in a way that you hopefully only have to do this once. So going on through, like I talked about, burial privileges at state veteran cemeteries if verified by the U.S. Departments of Veterans Affairs as eligible for burial. So there are two components of this law. There are two ways to get benefits from the state of Minnesota, but there's an asterisk. If you're not deemed eligible, and we'll go through this whole thing, but I just want to be clear here at the start on the burial privileges. If the NCA, the National Cemetery Administration, says that there's not sufficient evidence, you can still come to the state, the commissioner could review your paperwork and give you a stamp, and you would get the paper. And you'd be eligible for everything on this list except burial privilege in state veteran cemetery, because our state veteran cemeteries are essentially an extension of national cemeteries. And our cemetery requirements for internment are the same as the feds. So you would still get the rifle honors reimbursement, you would still get all the other benefits, but for special consideration eligibility track, essentially, that is one benefit you would not get, because we cannot bury someone who's not eligible, because it puts our funding that was used to build the cemeteries at risk for clawback from the federal government. So it's not a choice that we're making at the state, it's we are required, we enter into these agreements with the federal government, we have to abide by them. It's also state law, the criteria for this. So we hope that everybody who applies through the 40-1007 form process gets the thumbs up from the VA, and we don't have to really deal with this special consideration piece. That's the hope. That's our understanding based on what we heard from NCA during the task force. But I just want to make that very clear at the top.
John, so I'm thinking, I apologize for coming late, but as we're going through each one of these points, have we interpreted this in Hmong and Lao yet?
So in the packets is, in Hmong right now, a Hmong translated information page that largely tracks with what is in the deck.
Okay.
And it lays out the process.
Okay.
But we have not gone by it, and I said at the beginning, I'm going to do this in English, and we can stop as much as possible.
Why don't we do one point and then stop, and I'll interpret in Hmong?
Okay.
And then I wonder if someone's here that can interpret in Lao, that understands the English part and can reinterpret that into the Lao part. I'm sorry, I don't speak Lao, so to my brothers that are Lao, I don't speak Lao, but I would like someone who does to interpret that into Lao. But if we could do one point at a time and then stop and then interpret that would be fantastic.
Okay.
I think that we've already gone through the driver's license. Do we have any questions about that before? Do we need to interpret that before I move on to the third one?
We have a question. Some of us already have the ID, Minnesota ID, with the veteran in here.
That's great. Then you don't need it.
So I don't
You're
need
already
to,
set. Yep.
Yep. If you're already a U.S. military veteran and you have that designation, and you want to keep that designation, you can keep that designation.
So that's what I got to have a question on that one too.
Yep.
The Minnesota ID card, it is made for the veteran only. So right now, you know that everyone have driver license, and I don't understand what the Minnesota ID did. So can it be for the veteran?
It's only for the veteran.
Okay,
And
so that the license gonna be
GPS signal lost.
Gonna be renewed, I think probably 2027.
Yep.
And but the ID, can I go get that?
I think
For the veteran?
usually ID card is for people that don't drive.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I understand that.
Okay.
I thought that there's gonna be a special ID for the veteran.
It's just,
Okay.
Who do we have here that can speak Lao, that can translate in Lao?
It'll say SGU.
Do we have anybody? Can I ask if there's anybody that can interpret in Lao from English to Lao?
Well, actually, everybody down here.
But all the Lao, you guys understand English.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Oh, I'm off the hook. Okay. You bring up a really good question that I don't have to worry about the Lao interpretation, I'll just do the Hmong interpretation. The ID question is, if you do not have a driver's license and you only have an ID, then you have an ID, right? If you have a driver's license, you have a driver's license. But either way, your ID or your driver's license, you can get the veteran designation on there. So if you currently already have one that has already a veteran's designation on there, you're set. But if you do not, and now with this new legislation you qualify, then you should go and get that designation. So กูจะถามเขาเนาะไปตั้งในข้อ question อยู่เดียอยากจะ ID ซึ่งเราอยากจะ driver's license นะคืออยากออกขอนะก็จีจ๋าลูกไฟเลยก็มา ID ซึ่งเราก็เจ้าก็ได้ ID มูจอเตาขอ veteran designation ตรงนั้นอยากก็จ๋าลูกไฟก็มา driver's license นะก็มาก็ได้ driver's license มูเกี่ยวแล้วมาโชว์ให้เด็กก็อยากอีดู veteran ตรงนั้นแต่ชีอยากจอก็ลูกใจก็มามู renew ก็ได้ driver's license แล้ว ID expire ก็มา renew ก็กดแล้วจอเราเตาเขาก็แต่นู่นนอกูจีสาต่อจอถอนได้กูเกี่ยวมูนู่นนอกูสากกูมูอ้วกเตาได้เขาเนอะกูหา driver's license ให้กูได้ ID นะแล้วก็มูเตานะก็จิตาต่อกูก็หา driver's license แล้วหา ID นะ expire นะก็จิตาต่อถอนได้ก็มูอันถอนที่เราเตาแต่ชีแล้วที่ลูกอีหนิงตัวกับที่อีชงอ้อเทียอันนี้ก็เช้าเกี่ยวแต่ชินอนนี่จะต้องมัวเตาอ่ะลูกอีหลินตัวได้มามัวเตาน่ะหา driver's license ที่ ID นั่นน่ะ
But first you have to go verify yourself first.
Yes.
correct ก็เตามุงเกี่ยวกับเตาก็ต้อง go to หา process ก็เตาหาcertificate แต่ก็อีตัว veteran ก็มาเจ้าหาหนุ่มอ้วก็ได้ driver's license ที่ ID
So you will issue us a certificate?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
That is for every veteran's I've learned a lot in 2 years. But every veteran has a different path here, different service, but you left quickly. And the goal here is to get a disparate group of proof of service to one piece of paper that you have. So this, for all intents and purposes, will be your state DD 214. It will be your state eligibility certificate. It lists on this veteran, your name, your address, and then they're eligible for all these benefits, and it will say this list of benefits. The driver and vehicle services has that certificate built into their system. They just don't have yet the IT in place to actually make the driver's license words. I don't know if you want to translate that or. So I don't know, and I know I want to be mindful of time too, but do you want to talk, Senator Pha, about the burial privileges piece?
Yeah.
Okay.
So ไปถามเขาอีตาโดน driver's license เกมเขาเอาเนี่ยก็เขาไปตั้งไปตู้ถามแม่นะให้แต่ชินอมาแล้วจะกองเขาแล้วยิ่งหมดจะกองเขามีการแล้วยิ่งเคลียร์ตัวให้เดียอย่าไปถอดจอแล้วก็แล้วตัวเอาเนี่ยก็จะไปนั่นเราไปยิ่ง eligible แล้วตัวป้าไปอ่ะแต่ชีเขาเตรียมมาจะกองเขามีการแล้วจิมมั่ว enough people แล้วป้าไปกันหนึ่งเสียจ้องทองนะเกี่ยวแล้วจิมมั่วกันหนึ่งตัวป้าไปเจ้าเก็บอย่าไปสาตั้งไปอีเจ้าของเขาแล้วไปมั่วไปกับของเขาแล้วหมูลีเต้าเจ้าเขาหรือนั่นเราไปแล้วไปอวดไปหมัวพอเขาที่ไปเนี่ยถามมิจิเจ้าเขาเดีย burial privileges at state veteran cemetery ที่ national cemetery น้องเนี่ยเก็บผู้เปียมิจิลีน้องตัวนี้นะอีอย่าแต่ไปถ้าคือแล้วก็ไป要就到 apply หมดแต่ federal อันใดนะอย่าไป到了那个 automatic 的 state แล้วจะรีหมดแต่ certificate ตัวไปซะเขาอย่าไป apply แต่ federal ไปก็ deny 那个ไปมา go to the state ไปมานะคะ apply to the state ก็ state เลยมาชัวร์ไปกับ application ก็อย่าไป approve 那个แล้วหมดแต่ certificate ตัวไปเขาไปจะ approve 那个แล้วแค่ไปแต่นี่จะ approve ตัว as a veteran แล้วก็ go to certification certified จะไล่แล้วนะแต่เชื่อเขาแล้วสักก็ไปหมดแต่ national มาจงลีนอนะก็ cemetery ก็เข้าcemetery นะก็แล้วต้องเนี่ยแต่ federal government law นะก็อย่าให้เตียนี่จะ approve นะ federal นะก็แล้วจะปูก็ต้องนั่งแล้วรอเท่านี้เสียแล้วย้อนเราก็ federal ที่ก็ state cemetery veteran cemetery อ่ะก็จะต้องเขาเป็น offender ยศจุดต้องให้ federal แล้ว approve ก็มาก็เฉลี่ยตัวละ bury ตัวละนะรู้ state ที่รู้ national cemetery ย้อนเขารู้สัง Minnesota เนาะเขาอยากจะจีตัว approval แต่ national แล้วก็จะตัวละ state นะปีศาจก็มา apply national ก็จะ qualify นะก็มาเรา apply the state ก็มา qualify the state แล้วเมื่อไหร่ certificate แล้วก็อีกอย่างก็ยิ่งใหญ่ที่ veteran อีกอย่าง có gì tao xua giả nó đấy nè thì chỉ họ có chỉ tao này cái họ thì lấy chỉ bố có tụi năng đã xỉa là phao tao đó cái cemetery veteran cemetery vì hai cái veteran cemetery này mà là tao nhớ tao federal law cái federal chỉ tao approve cái này là cái tụi năng đó là phao chỉ tao thì chỉ xua giả benefit này tao taเลยcái họ nói này bố mà question của cô nhà cô biết là chỉ bố mà chỉ mang là nông na ấy có sẽ được tao apply federal ya tao the federal là cái state automatic more certificate đó này cái lên từ xã một nhỏ rồi họ cemetery national state cemetery là những tao ta để she apply federal chỉ lại na she approve na em là apply state approve này cái này tao cho ya thì she lấy chỉ bố còn tụi năng đó một phòng đâu lu veteran cemetery nè all con đó nè okay one more question how not before pay more don't do yes
bây giờ mình cái đại kia mình chia đại và nhận là permission là có từ
cái đại application mà ấy mà show đó này đi tao fill out đại application cái những mỗi cái năng là ba đi fill out thế là những mỗi cái năng hậu lửa là mỗi hùa thì veteran service officer đó nè cái tụi năng nó mà ba đi fill cái application một tờ federal on đây cái they apply một tờ federal chỉ line này cái mà nó apply đó là state they she apply the federal line đó này cái state automatic more certificate đó này sự okay.
Quick question: does this fall under even if they're under the Naturalization Act?
So we can let's run through the I will provide the updates on all that on the following pages. Let's just get through the list of benefits and then we can get to the process if that works.
Okay.
Okay.
So permanent grave markers, that is a benefit that we don't have them, but if we ever get them, you could get them. And that's for a private cemetery stone. So if you have a private headstone in a private cemetery, there are permanent grave markers that are available from the state on a funds available basis, and we don't have the funds. We haven't had the funds for years since COVID. The cost of them went from about $30 a pop to $200 a pop, and so we don't have them. But you're eligible for them if we do have them in the future.
Just a quick question on that. Is there a cutoff time? Like, let's say the bill was passed in 2025. Can anyone who's passed away already request for that marker?
I don't.
In that time frame?
So the way that the form is set for special consideration, you can apply for the deceased veteran. So I think yes, I think that is eligible. I will also note through VA form 40-1007, if they're eligible for burial benefits from the federal government, they're also Hmong, SGU, Lao veteran are eligible for so say a veteran is eligible and they're going to be buried in state veteran cemetery, the NCA pays for the headstone. They will also pay for a permanent marker on a private headstone or columbarium, niche, or anything. There's a suite of things you can pick from depending on how you want your final remains to be. And that is covered for verified by the state, by the federal government veterans retroactively. So you could find a veteran from the Civil War here in America, and I could apply for that person, and if their service is verified, they would be eligible for that marker. This is a state marker though, and we don't have any. So again, this is why we put this towards the federal process, is because the feds do have one. So if you have an SGU veteran who's verified, they have a private headstone already, you could at least get some kind of marker or something. So that is why we did it this way as well. This was intentional in this process.
Another question. Yep. Can that apply to those who are already deceased in the 80s and 90s too, or?
I think if you have the paperwork and you do the pre-need or the burial, I believe yes.
Okay.
Yep. So the permanent grave marker, the big thing, Senator Pha, is that this is not a funded program. We don't have the fund. We don't have any right now. But if we ever get any, the SGU vets would be verified vets would be eligible for it.
One more thing. this is where a county veteran service officer is going to be really helpful to anybody in this room because they know how this process works, what's available, etc. So don't worry about breaking it down right now. Just tell them they need to go to that.
And that they're required by law to help you.
Yeah, they will.
And they will.
So, John 點住做有 permanent 了，俾我個 permanent grave marker 的呢，有個 benefit 呢嘛，了係啲但是呢俾到呢，但是啲啲呢，係啲到但是是知道呢嘛，嘅別人拿到呢，都好啲 lu stay 呢，你只冇嘢都好 permanent grave marker 呢呢。嘅但是呢嘛頭嘛一俾佢到啦一行呢，但是呢你嘅冇呢 off 到啦一行嘅。State 冇嘢嘅 state 都只有啊，嘅呢 permanent grave marker 嗱到拎到你啊，只係俾只係咪假嘅啊，好多咗啦，只冇拎到 state 只有啦，但是有啲 new 到 state 大家冇嘢，大家嚟有嘅嗱呢嘅，有 veteran 咪假到嘅俾到先，嚟知道啦，俾知道嗱呢，就係啲考 program 嗱你只冇嘢嗱呢。嘅 permanent grave marker 嗱嘛俾人 qualify 啊，但是呢，有一度能寫那嘅，你知道可能了，就好啲嚟只冇嘢啦睇呢，但是嘅 permanent grave marker 嗱嘛你就 work 咗有啲個冇比賽啲要換咗都好彩有 private 那嘅你分到比較忙嘛，比起冇到那嘅 national，啲嘅 state cemetery 比冇到嘅 private 啊有比睇。bên nhẹ nhõm là cái bên nhõm hắn là cái tàu học grave marker nó là yếu ở đâu bên the state là chỉ nó mà chỉ muốn nhẹ cái chỉ tàu á thì chỉ là bên qualify một the national nè thì cứ họ là để có bên tàu apply nè federal on day nè ý chỉ qualify bên mà vào state nè giờ bên qualify một the federal nè cái federal một cái nhẹ nó là ba thì chỉ là bên chỉ qualify the federal bên chỉ qualify the state thì chỉ tàu học benefit nó nè thì sẽ họ nói mấy họ mình mê chứ thì sẽ như thế họ chỉ chẳng theo giờ thì nó từ lại tàu nghe cái lời mà không có họ nói đâu bé chỉ ta linh đạo giờ thì bị xã thì giờ có qualify giờ có qualify có giờ you ít nữa qualify là for the ít state là federal cemetery nhớ hộ Minnesota nó đấy kì là gì cover lúc headstone đó lúc headstone là nếu bỏ thì cái veteran cemetery mà là chỉ một cái you sai you này vậy là một cái tí cho trong ý giả số lên số tù thế nào cái cho lúc headstone mà là cover là nó chỗ có qualify sao thì sẽ có grave marker mà nên cháu nè nên cháu là lúc headstone. John, do you have a photo of a grave marker?
I got it right
here.
Okay, great.
No, shoot. Give me a second.
Okay, nhưng mà show bây thì trong cái cả đó nè. Cái này của hai hắn đó, tại vì nó lúc stay mà nên qualify thì lúc stay chỉ muốn nhẹ, rồi cái grave marker nó cái chua tù veteran mấy cả mong nên từ lấy chỉ tàu, tại vì nó từ lấy muốn nhẹ thì cái bên mà nó khác tàu đùa, okay?
Giờ thì bây giờ bên muốn nhẹ bên một thể bên chỉ là mua là bên mà.
Yes. So John, his question is, if even though the state doesn't have money to fund it, could they request and pay for a grave marker and have one on there, but they would pay for it themselves?
My understanding is that this is a state program. We don't have, I don't know that there's a private purchase option. I think that the company that makes these wants to sell them in bulk. And so that's one of the issues there. So I don't know, I don't want to say definitively one way or the other, but I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's something we could probably.
And some counties still have some.
Okay.
But most do not.
Can, but you gotta be dead to get one, so it's...
Okay, I know. All right. Jolly no. This is the grave marker that we're talking about. That goes on private, okay? So he had a really good question. Can you, if the state does not have funding to fund this program right now, could you pay for it yourself? And so you can get this. And what John's answer is that currently right now, the people that manufacture this, they do not do it individually. They won't sell it individually. They sell it in bulk to the state. So there's no way for us to buy it privately. It would have to be something that the state would have to get the program up and running. Something we can explore. We can explore to see if even if the state doesn't have the funding to have this available to people for free as part of a benefit, would it be something that we could allow people to purchase or work somehow with a vendor to see if the vendor would offer it for sale privately to people?
These are the federal, so the federal also, one of the reasons why
This
there
is a
isn't
federal
funding,
one.
and it may be challenging to get funding from the legislature, is that you can get this for free from the feds.
And if they qualify through the
NCA.
NCA, then
Yep.
they get this.
Correct.
Yeah, this is the better thing, I think,
Yeah.
because it's
So
attached. Yeah.
เขาnói họ federal na, họ bị ta nữ show họ state á, cái li bị ta bị thải thì họ có apply một federal có qualify này cái,นี่tàu họ nói na, họ nói benefitนี่tàu á,นี่tàu lúc wave marker nó cho nó nợ, you do a headstone na, thì she giờ thìนี่จะ qualify the federal,นี่เรา apply the state qualify the state ซื้อnày cái,นี่tàu lúc star bị ta na. Thì she stay mà thì she nó stay chỉ muốn nghe là phát học program này kia chỉ tàu hoàn tàu thì she biết mình đâu là thải she biết bộ tàu ấy dài có thì biết chỉ muốn nghe là có biết dùa tàu cho nó là thể tàu cái nó là cho nó tiếng này giờ áp bộ đó là y luôn nè.
And that's only if you are buried in a private cemetery.
That is a marker for a private cemetery.
Yes. Okay.
Also, I will note, if a veteran is verified through the NCA, and they don't want to be in a veteran cemetery, they're still eligible for the veteran cemetery headstone in the private cemetery.
Oh, okay.
So,
Nice.
and so it would be that standard headstone, military headstone that you'd see at the National Cemetery or in our state veteran cemeteries are the same. If you want to be buried in your own family plot, but you want that military headstone because you're a veteran, they will pay for that. And that costs about $500. We'll get into that, down the line. But again, there are so many more benefits to getting the federal okay. It just gives you a lot more options than we have. Like, Minnesota, this program about the private marker predates the federal program for the marker.
Mostly people who
And
qualify.
there could be funds in the future. Also, that marker is known as a bronze grave marker. There is nothing in statute that says it has to be bronze. So we could change that law down the road, Senator Pocket changed that law down the road, and it could be, we could find a cheaper manufacturer and give us an appropriation and we could buy them. But we want to serve, it's always a competition, and Ben knows this as the commissioner who serves the cemeteries and leads the cemeteries. It's always harder to get funding for deceased veterans than live veterans. So, all right, and then
Okay, let me
that's
interpret what you
Yeah.
just said and then we'll end there. So ขอ John ให้มาเนื้อเตียแต่ชินอนะยาเตียก็ลิบิตาถาเดียก็ apply federal
GPS signal lost.
เตาใดดู bronze marker ไปตาไป shoulder ที่ชิตาลิก็เตาลู่ headstone เดินนั่นน่ะ so they tu nang na nu photo lu veteran cemetery รออีเตาลู่ headstone เดินปูโดนเนชีเฮายาเตนูเฮาจะสีแต่หนึ่งมุญย่อตรงไหนจะ private cemetery นะใช่ไหมกับ veteran ลีนะเราอยู่มั่วรู้ headstone เดินเราอยู่เทียบย่อเราอยู่เนี่ยนะมาเขาอยู่จริงเนี่ยเรารู้เลยจะมาอยู่รู้แต่ชีอยู่แต่กูชีอยู่กูรู้กูอยู่ในรู้เดินเนาะสิเจ้ามันจอดดักกูเขาเชิญเราอยู่โอเคเดียวเกี่ยวกับ grave marker ที่รู้ headstone เดินเกี่ยวเตานะ you have to apply to federal it qualify อ่ะYeah, they should qualify federal. It qualify the state. So apply for federal. Tai lo they know na lo apply state qualify na ke. She tao lu has stone down. Na they she tao her grave marker. In the national or the federal corner. They she tao her grave marker the state. Yeah, lu star na. They she not be chimo near to her program. Like it they na mo be ma susa. They she be yo oli cha na. เอกก็เป็นว่าตอนนี้มันฟังนี่เขาโปรแกรมแล้วก็ดักก้าจะเนี่ยดักก้ามันพลายเตากันนอนเต้นะโอเคจะเป็นมาเขาศึกษาเขานอนแต่ตอนเด็กเราไปโตดิกาตอนแต่ฉันนะจุ่มเนี่ยเราเขาโปรแกรมแล้ว
คุณสีอาเป็นรู้เจ้านี่ก็นี่ก็เชื่อยนี่เตาสันสา头向อัพพานะยนี่นี่จะBruce Bento ป้าเตาสันสา向อัพพานะเจนี่เขาจะ qualify ตัวจะ federal ตันทอนะเจกูเปลี่ยนไม่ให้เตียยังเล่นแต่เจนี่ qualify ตัวได้ budget เธอ lu bỏ slow ai thâu show na giờ có đi tàu sẵn sàng thầu hướng áp hàng nữa vì hệ you to go to talk you qualified chị ni sẽ được qualified to cái nó tan thọ là chị cho ai bán gì nó chị cho ai chỉ tàu sẵn sàng thầu hướng áp hàng nữa bây giờ trong ba pass đại biểu hướng nào okay so theo cái này nên cái gì chị giờ ni tới tàu sẵn sàng thầu hướng áp hàng nữa chị chỉ ba mu apply to bị đại federal to đại đó nó chị tất cả nữa chị giờ có chỉ tàu sẵn sàng nữa chị có mà chỉ bị cái path mu state nữa cho họ sinh Minnesota nữa okay chị lên đó chị giờ có đại form nó cóสัมภาษณ์chị có yêu tàu đại project đó thế yêu tàu đại flow show hay tự yêu veteran à yeah
cho tàu sản xuất đó phá nó mà quý hai tấn gia hay thì cho nhau tới chuẩn bị cảยิ่งเจอลูกมีการนะยิ่งคุณจอดดูคุณจอดมีการเขาดูสักทีนะที่จังจะเขาชิโต๊ะเขาจะเอาพักแล้วสวมมาโต๊ะนั่นมาอุตสาหเดียเช่นเดียวใช้ยาละสามลิตร
yeah so ก็เชื่อreally เดี๋ยวจีhosting Minnesota ไปปั๊มห้องรู้ตัวจีเดี๋ยวจงก็เตาจะ state benefit จะอีเลยSenator Phaตัวเปียให้เตีย the state แล้วมั่วลูกป๊อปเรามั่วตัวจะกู้ตัวเท่ก็สมัยแต่ฉันเอาไปชีมันเนี่ยเจ้าตัว the state ไปชีอยู่จีตอนได้เนาะจีนี่จะก้าวเราnew ก็Senator Phaตัวได้เชื่อจะก้าวมันเนี่ยเราอยู่จะป๊อปเราเนาะตัวจะตัว benefit vì bây giờ tàu pass trả lọ trong tàu nó họ chỉ tao lên đó right chị YouTube mu trong tàu về federal có lỡ bảo cho bill nữa thế yeah
so Representative Leslie hai mà do là thì she họ nói hai mà cho nó bây giờ mong người tao citizenship hiệu áp phá nó thì she no matter what need to apply need to apply chỉ tao automatic need to apply đó need to apply federal ý dạng câu okay
I think it's just helpful so they understand that they actually get those benefits yeah because otherwise they wouldn't
นี่เขาพลูเราเจ้าอีอาจงนะไปจงจะต้องไปตัวหรือเก็บไปตัวนะเขาSGU เวทรังนะอย่าในพลูเราไปเลยอีอย่าอาจีอย่าอาจีไปอย่าอาจีแต่ที่ตัวอย่างนี้ตัวมาอัพไลแต่ที่ถ้าเกิดอีอย่าเซมิทรีต้องตั้งแต่ถ้าอย่าเหี้ยวอีกนะขมาไปอย่าเป็นฟีอย่างนี้เสียนะอย่างนี้ผมไปขนาดนี้เราไปกัดตัวอีจงนะอาจจะเรียนตัวอัพไลแต่ที่ตัวแต่อย่างนี้ไปตรงนี่พูดตัวไปจะนั้นยังเขาล่ะน่าจะไปป้อเลยอย่าเต่านั่นน่ะให้นี่เพ่งSGU benefit ที่จะใช้ยาฮันนูเด็กพยาต้องเด็กโอ้นี่ที่จะต้องเนี่ยโอ้นี่ชอบพยาต้องไปคนละเท่านั่นเด็กไปจะเรานั่นเด็กเตะเขาเตะสาวเด็กไปนี่เชื่อมันแม่เป็นนูนี่นานะเพราะแต่ไอดีนะแต่ไอดีทหารนะนี่จะได้แต่งเป็นไอดีdriver license นะเจ้ารอใช่ไหมเจ้ารอเลยเวทนานั่นเด็กคนไหนชัดจีใช่ไหมมันก็น่าโชว์ด้วยอาจารย์นี่ฮะจีโอ้ยอีไหนตั้งถ้าวิเล่ขอหน่อยว่ะ
ยาดิกาก็
จีอย่าไหนจริงๆแต่ไอดีเวทนาจริงๆแต่ไอดีทหารฮะไอ้ชัด
โอเค so เขาก็ให้มาได้ certificate นะเกี่ยวกับตับเป็นตัวฐานนะอีน่ะเขาก็ apply ก็ qualify แล้วตัวก็จะต้องตัวชัวร์ตายก็ qualify อีตัวSGU veteran เกี่ยวกับเมื่อไหร่ certificate แล้วก็แต่ฉันเราจะไม่ได้ ID separately แล้วจะveteran มีการแล้วจะ veteran มีการบันทึกเมื่อไหร่ได้ข้อไหนอย่างแล้วจะว่าคนเดินน่ะนี่จะต่อคนเดินนี่ตัว certificate แต่ stay ให้เดียนี่ยังอีตัว veteran SGU veteran แต่เราอย่างนี้เด่นดาวนะแต่ certificate นะตัวเขา driver's license นี่ก็ให้ก็ตัวก็ driver's license แล้วก็ได้ ID ใน show ให้เด็กก็เห็นอีตัว SGU veteran นะเขาเนี่ยเขาตัว 係咪掹係嘅俾住到嘢啦，俾個 veteran 住到嘢啦，我冇俾個 veteran 住到 healthcare benefit 啦 ，no 住到緊啦，有到嘅古物塔嘅講到呢啲事，然後俾談話俾佢係睇一個嘅塔得多落去到呢嘅嘛，冇到可啲愛嘅塔得多去到啲事，古物塔嘅講係哋嘅到嘅一轉啦呢 ，can we get it back on the screen？ họ tàu kia là cái driver's license theo ID đó họ veteran nhớ không đó ở mù tàu họ thì giờ tụi năng xỉa là cái nửa mù phao tàu đó là lúc stay theo National Cemetery họ đó bây là cái tàu họ grave marker bị tay bị hại đấy giờ họ grave marker bị tay bị hại thì lúc headstone đó nữa họ đó tàu plow là cái tàu cho honor guard cho tin năng in nửa tua thầu tụi năng nó xỉa luôn đằng này kia nó tua chế họ fly cái nó tua cái chạy là nó luôn đằng họ nó tàu mỗi con gì hay tiệt giờ cái gì tụi veteran SGU là cái họ nó mà phần tàu này tàu họ benefit thì xin này chỉ xí họ hay tiệt giờ các bộ play cho không lừa nè là giờ chủ tàu mua su on day là tàu mua preference cho có as tụi veteran dùng này tích chemical nó cho veteran tàu preference cho company lỡ sai cho lỡ một họ để lỡ who their veterans preference nữa nè cái giờ thì có hiểu từ veteran cái lỡ tàu mua opportunity để con đây một tàu cho hậu lửa lỡ before lỡ mua được tù đó nè thì chỉ phần tàu mà biết cái năng này chỉ cho hậu lửa nè cái họ nói cái như tàu hay thì giờ lúc bê tàu thì chỉ xí lỡ nó nè cái ít khó gì là cái cho copy of vital record đó cái đông tàu nhưng nếu tôi năng nó xỉa nếu như một tàu này cái đông tàu hay thì như ít từ veteran nếu chế năng là tàu cái nón đỡ là nếu là một tàu cái nón đỡ là hai tiền nếu lúc bê nếu cho nếu lúc nuôi dù nếu social nếu chơi nhau nếu tôi năng tháng hạn mà nè cái tàu cái vital record này nè cái tàu cái bảo đi nó sẽ bảo đi nó sẽ chỉ một cha đấy nè để xí họ lo chấp lời này cái benefit nó cái giờ lúc bê hay để bê những giờ mình cả cho cô tu trò họ nói họ chỉ chẳng chấp lời vì hai tia lúc bê hay để bê mình cả cho cô tu trò nó mà lấy chỉ là mua cho bê giờ lấy chỉ cả mà lấy chỉ cả mua lúc bê các lần sau lấy chỉ cả các lần lúc bê nữa nè giờ chúng tôi nó chứ là我冇你俾我那個判嘛，攞齊補個係啲個嘢，呢度好多上面假啦。但是呢，又 before 俾學攞那 pass 啊，呢係啲呢好多上面假嘛，你覺得你渣啦呐，你覺得個係知道你個位個係知要了嗱，但是只要那冇俾係進差呢對位的，那就都判係啲俾人 qualify 冇話呢度 veteran 咪假到 veteran 啦嗱，
Okay, like chỉ muốn để bác cần phải biết bài không màu đó.
chỉ mua họ có chỉ mua.
Ồ, biết chưa chia của nó biết chưa là lâu rồi, biết như tập bài không màu của ổn định biết mà lên giải nó là.
Dạ cơ. Họ có mấy xã của tàu cười để chỉ lại.
Chỉ muốn áp chỉ chính phải chơi thế là không có xa nè.
Dạ, nhưng lý có,แต่是嘛可以我cho nói sẽ chỉ tao lên đấy, do cho nhớ federal nhớ từ DC cái do ý Senator Tina Smith, Amy Klobuchar là cho nhớ về Washington DC nè, là do cho mỗi nhà sẽ chỉ hay thì nhiều mỗi nhà là thầy muốn tao được có niềm của không muốn lên nó do cho nhớ về DC chỉ là bé nhớ học sinh Minnesota nó vì hay thì nhớ bé chơi mình cả nó chỉ
his question was were there any medical benefits and income or financial benefits? And so we were clear that there is no medical benefits or healthcare benefits, and there's no cash or financial benefit to the legislation that passed. That the legislation that passed clearly are just the ones we designated for the benefits. Okay, so that was the clarity for him. Okay, yes.
Ok, cuộc chuyện ý khó nè. Tôi cho trong điều khăn. Tôi chỉ khăn dừng đó là ốp hai giờ tàu station. Yeah. After ốp hai là chỉ tàu station là mấy trăm biểu để gọi cái chỉ forward, đúng không? Why? Họ cho chỗ ý nó của hàng đi nó.
结果嗰隻路喺下路上啊，佢安排呢，佢就點能 and qualify 冇 get citizenship under 佢 what's that HN 2000， 看到嘛，就係就點能 qualify citizen 呢？佢 new qualify 冇叫到 veteran benefit 啊，但是我俾張表到都要叫 qualify， 但係就醫啦嘛，佢已 qualify 啦呢。Before that 未知 qualify， 但是我俾佢表要考了考可能個係講啦。Get done topic of veteran, your SGU, and you will go to her application, you show that the veteran you qualify to do la. Chỉ là cho citizen hiệu áp phá nó sao, chỉ là họ nó sao.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, cái họ nó là.
Ý lý tu dục gì nó, nếu họ mong lý giải hiệu mù phô bề lớn giả, đâu có bức trọc. Hey John, I'm about to leave because I have another meeting, but can you just explain, I think there was money appropriated to hire like a specific like person to do these cases. Is that happening at MDVA?
So there is the special consideration process, which we'll get to. If a veteran is applying to the special consideration process, we receive funding to process those special consideration applications. They are going to be, Ben, you want to speak to this?
Sure.
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
But
Because
not
there was
not
money,
from that money.
but not from that money. Okay, but you guys will hire someone.
We are not hiring someone. We
no.
are
County
funding
Veteran Service officers.
staff that already do this type of work.
We have two attorneys that work in our Veterans Education and Occupational Resources team who evaluate veterans preference cases. And as a secondary duty, we'll be pivoting to make sure that they're ready to develop responses and analyze any of these special considerations that are submitted.
Okay.
But for the initial application,
That's
field operations people
and you.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Okay. Because maybe this was in previous bills, but we thought there was like money left over for like this specifically. But I'll double check with
So
the
we
chair.
got funding last session to do the task force. We have funding left over, and we'll get to it's in the deck. But we have some funding that we used our carry forward authority that was passed that we are going to, and I think, short answer, there's going to be a lot of help for these veterans to do this paperwork in as painless a way as possible, using the funds that are left over and the funds that were appropriated for the special consideration process.
Okay.
We're not hiring a specific person. It's just like a 0.5, it was a 0.5 FTE. As you know, we're putting that 0.5 FTE towards that process. But Dan on my team, who is at all the task force meetings supporting the task force, is going to be, Dan's a former county veteran service officer. Dan is going to be coordinating for the agency all of the outreach, all of the questions, all of that stuff, and getting it where it needs to go within the agency. So,
and just for clarity, thank you for the question. We are also utilizing the translation services, and that's not something that's offered without cost at the state level. So we're working with our partners at admin; they're charging us for the translation service. So things like that we're working through, and then outreach and advertising. We'll be continuing to try and make sure that my commitment to the community, to all these warriors in the room, was we're going to make sure that everyone is aware that this exists and that they have this opportunity. John, for your awareness as well, I'm going to continue to be the face for this, for the agency, and utilize the funds that we've received to make sure that no stones unturned.
Yeah, and thank you. And then also like the timeline, because so I've helped people get into Arlington National Cemetery, but it takes a really long time.
Absolutely.
And so I think it'd be helpful to tell people when they should start planning, because we typically don't talk about death, and so the deaths happen very quickly, and then people want to do funerals, but if they want to be buried here, you should tell them how far ahead of time.
I think, why don't we go ahead to
that will come.
Like today, which is why we're doing it today. Yeah.
That's right.
To just keep skipping ahead here. So let's keep, right here. Okay, so here's what we're proposing.
Right, which is why they need.
So the MDVA is proposing a partnership between the department, our county veteran service officers, who we call our boots on the ground, the Hmong and other Southeast Asian community organizations, for a series of open houses. We want to do these through the summer and fall at the Veteran Service Building to start for the first one, and then at community centers throughout the metro or wherever you think we should go. We want to do these for 2 to 3 hours, so it's basically an open house style format. Whatever works for your schedule, you come down. We will have MDVA and County Veteran Service Officer staff people there to walk these veterans through this VA form. We will have translation services on site to translate. We will have the forms, and then we will mail the forms to Janesville, Wisconsin. So our goal is that rather than have everybody trying to figure out how to do this VA form, we collectively, the leaders in this room and the department and the county veteran service officers, work together to get all of the vets through this process with support and done this fall. By the fall, we want to have everybody that possible, as critical mass, done. And then we will back channel with the NCA to let them know to expect these coming. And then hopefully we will have, if it turns out that we're getting a lot of these kicked back, we then can dedicate time in these tranches to do the special consideration process and get folks through. And so that is what we are proposing. And we have, to Representative Lee's point, we have carried forward from the task force staff funding to pay for the form. The forms are free to print. We have to print all the forms. We have to do the envelopes. We have to hire the translators. We have to do all that. We are going to cover that. What we need is the partnership.
Yeah. Okay, so big a veteran mà big bao de shi no mua kyong ling to qualify ke yo ko be ilang ke le mo fill the application sa mo ke ni nu a ke te thau yo yo te thau yo chi yo na. Thank you, Rep. Lee, for joining us. You be yo ko be ke le mo fill application ke ni yo to be ke the state of Minnesota Veterans Department idea. Đó lúc chỉ mà họ nói này sẽ đọc nó bên lòng xe này sẽ đọc nó bộ vợ đọc bên à cái đó lúc chỉ mà đó hay tiệt giờ có đi cái này một phiếu application sao một cái như rồi sẽ đợi cái đó này mà mua cho nó mua hồ tại open house ở tầng lúc xí hở thì cho nú nó nè cho nú nó rồi lúc xí hở nó cái biết khi họ trông ấy nú đó cái biết một cái tin này tôi ba này phiếu nè ba này phiếu cái application nè cái nàyตัวเลยนึงก็ไปเกี่ยวหลังเกี่ยวมั่วแก staff เราป้าเนี่ย fill ที่ชีชัวยามั่วแกที่นึงเราใช้รูมั่วเราหนังป้าแกต้องต่อป้าแก postage ที่ชีนะก็ที่นึงเกี่ยวตัวเกี่ยวตัว apply สินะ so เขาเนาะเกี่ยวที่ชาวป้าไปมา work ดอแกกองเขาแกไปแก veteran กองเขาก็แล้วเนี่ยชาวตัวที่นะเจ้าในกันนั่งตัวที่ตัวป้าไปที่cái bé mà ba cái nón đó cái cho nón đó thì đi cái này cái nón đó tuổi chỉ thu tông rồi chỉ chua nè mà cái nói hai thì ok cái tao giờ nó là chúa giờ nó có được khác một chế cho cái đó khác tuổi nè nè cái này phải đi bao thì yêu đi trả nó một tuần là ba cái này nè cái sau thì mua đại application cái đó này cái một số chế cái chỉ bao phiếu cái số phiếu đi trả lại lô đi cái bao phiếu chỉ giờ nè nè cái họ nói ấy họ chỉ là mua chỉ in nô sẽ chỉ on nô sẽ để chỉ là dùng một nón tao nô cái đó mà có show cái schedule ai thế lúc lì nó chỉ nô nó sắm màu nó lúc lì nó nô nó sắm màu nó ấy có tao đi cầu tờ cho nô nó nè cái có tin nâng tua nè cái chỉ khổng lúc xí hở là cái khổng lúc xí hở tua nè tua apply nè cái này sao thì lúc chỉ nó ý này bỏ thì họ nó vào thế ở một nơi bỏ sao thì mỗi người chỉ bên chỉ trâu có hai ở trong chan nó là hai cái chỉ là cho nó hai thì bên cũng chỉ ní tua cũng mà fill cũng sẽ chỗ này mỗi application nó cũng sẽ nó là có fill có thể chỉ sao một lần tao ý à đấy có chỉ ta ní tua là cái nó thì chỉ cho ní hao này cái tua cái là ba ní fill rồi gì bây giờ mua cho nhiều là thì cái tíนึงlà ba ní fill cái application nó này.
But we need soon because we all.
Okay.
The plan is soon.
So they like this idea.
Okay,
so
good.
far.
My suggestion.
Yes.
The idea the Senator you should pass here look like a very simple, but my concern we have 4 organizations here, and I think the veteran we can require for the 4 veterans here collect the veteran application. part of my view look for explain today. And the reason we need what the proof from every individual. That's what we want to know.
Yeah.
So
because in the behind 1975, we are very, very urgent. Nobody have a proof. Most of the, I think maybe 10% some might have it, but the rest of they don't have it.
Okay.
Because we are on the communist hand and we drop out everything to make sure we save our lives. And now we don't have any proof, and we only prove for witness here. And that part of we need to know that.
Okay, so so he spoke about two things. One, the proof for to meet the criteria to get certified. Okay. Two is that you're wondering if the organizations, the SGU or the veterans organization, can also collect the applications. Okay, so those are the two questions. I'm going to do the collection of application first. I would prefer that the organizations do not do the collection of application. I would prefer that the organizations, that you help your members fill out the applications, but they need to submit it through the right process themselves, or come to one of these and hand it to one of the veteran service officers that will help them mail it and send it. But the reason why I say that is because we don't want to cause more confusion with different organizations doing different things. It's a different process. One organization could do a different process from another one, and it causes more confusion. But there is nothing wrong with your veterans organization helping your members to fill out those applications to make sure they have everything that is on the checklist for qualification, okay? So the other question you had was the criteria. Later we're going to review back the criteria and what you can use as proof to show that you qualified. So we'll get to that later, okay? So ขอลงประธานให้มาหนูให้เตียยกของเขาปัวยกของเขาปัวป้าตัวที่หนึ่งว่าจะ application show จะ application ตัวจะ application นะที่ชี้เรียกว่าเราลงประธานขอป้ามันนี่ยังมาป้าในแก member อ่ะ fill application นี่ป้าตัวเลยแกในแก member ยังมาป้านะที่ชี้กูชี้สาก็เป็นยกของเขาจะ show จะ application จะ只係把它收啊，但是也叫 collect 那麼呀，叫 collect 嘅 application 啊，嘅 application 咪你咪把它 fill，但是嘅 application 有時都較多咯，叫 open house 俾我攞นะ，然後咪把你殺 or 你咪殺你唔一項目นะ，可能你用多，就好啲要俾一個好嘅鐘นะ，嘅一兩個一日走的嘅叫 hot process， 你只係一日啦的，你走年啊。俾曬個 hot process 咪啲人從呢從度上嘅俾時啲 hot process 啦 ，OK？ 龍伯坦 also เมื่อ hot question 係啲嘅 criteria 嘅啲俾個 provide 一啲俾材料 qualified นะ，嘅可能一邊當啲那俾自己談面自咗嘅可能咁乜ต่อ一邊就俾咪 answer hot question 得 ，OK？ So I think John's question was, what do you guys think about this idea of the open house? We'll have many dates available with many hours for people to come. You can also apply and send your application in yourself. If you feel like you can get it done yourself, feel free to do it. But we also offer the open houses for those who want to come in and get help by a person to help them make sure the application is filled out correctly. They have everything that's needed on the application and provided all the proof that they needed before we send it off. So what do you guys think about this idea? Do you like it?
It'll be
Our
good idea. It's not just the filling out of the form. So right now on the department's website, there is a SGU page. It has all of this we have talked about. It also has on there, we have a PowerPoint presentation from the National Cemetery Administration that says what they'll take as proof and what they won't take as proof with pictures.
Correct.
Also in this document, in Hmong here, that's here today, this will be on the website also in Khmer, Cambodian, and Vietnamese. And Laos. Yes. So it's those are being translated right now, but they'll be on the website. So if someone wants to do this themselves, they will have this paper that says, fill out this form, this is the proof you need, this is where you send it. What we want to avoid is people, we think we could do this collectively through these open houses, and not just like our county veteran service officers and our field operations folks do with U.S. veterans every day. We make sure that you have a complete application. So if you have a veteran that's like, all right, I filled out the form, and they just send the form to Janesville, Wisconsin, or they go to the store and they go, maybe they have a fax machine at their house and they just fax the form, they're going to get a rejection letter where they wouldn't necessarily if they work with us to make sure, and we're going to mail it. And there's very specific instructions for this VA form 41007 for SGU veterans. And so rather than we are mandated by law to help you. So let us.
So John Honnenheimer is very important. We have the resources to help our veterans, so use it. Because they could be a second look over your application, make sure you have everything you need for the application, all the proof, all the extra information that you may need on there. Before we send it off, give you the best chance to get qualified the first time around, okay? The best chance. Now, that does not mean that you have to use us. You can definitely do it on your own if you think that you can with your children's help or with other people's help. John Hai no na idea. Ni libita ko hana ni o ni la yi tao na ni ka mi tu mi no pa ni o ni ka application sa mo e ni mo ka proof sa mo la nya da ni de shi pe yi thei nie to lu kong hao na ko la thei ti nang la pa pe o ka form na ko pe ka application pe sa mo do pe ka proof na ke ko sa thau jo ke ko qualify sa pe sa li chi ma reject na ke ku yi sa ko de ya tao ma ku sa ko de shi lo cha li pa to ni na de shi chi requirement. Okay, họ nói chỉ requirement thì是俾英文時來到可以哋投了8俾嚟嘅份到俾嘅 application， 有two 當嗱，有你有到啲佢嘅 information 嚟你嘅有 qualify the first time， okay， 就你只咪 reject 得卡咯 ，okay，good to go， okay， 嘅可能俾 okay， 可能 idea 那 good 唔呀，但係那我哋冇 idea 你嘅英文3字都可以俾兩嘛 go forward with 那嘅嘛等嘅 dates， 睇嘅時候都俾啦 ，so they'll establish the dates and the times for us so that we all know what the upcoming schedule will be for the open houses, and then you can schedule the dates that you can go.
We want to also tell us where we need to go. Do we need to go? Where do we need to send Ben? To on your media, church, wherever you want us to go, we will go. We're meeting on the 6th with the county veteran service officers. Ramsey County has already been doing these applications for a while. They're very experienced in this. We're meeting with MacVSO Executive Director to also make sure all 87 county veteran service officers understand that they are required to assist with these so that you can go to your county veteran service officer and get that help. But again, we have been working since the governor signed this thing to be ready. This law doesn't go into effect until next week. This is July 1st, it becomes live, a live law. We want to go, we will be flexible. We think the first one of these at the Veterans Building, we have the 5th floor, it holds 100 people.
Yeah.
We can get everybody to just come to the vets. Everybody, you're very good at coming to the Capitol already. You've demonstrated this. So you just have to come to a different building, and we'll help you.
Okay. So John, hay din sa topic kay pa na ina layo wacha open house na dun da lu Veterans Building na Sanchi na to pe mo apply te shi chi ta le nu hai dia ni sa ko la tua ho tu the na ko la thi ho tong le bi sa be dia I ni wo ta lu Veterans Building on ni wo ta pe ka veteran kong ho la tao the ni dia I no ku sa ko ni tu wo kin na pe lu kong ho office na na ko pe ka u tu pe ka tha han tu wo application nu da da la nếu khi rồi nữa thì đi xa có lợi cho tí năng ô open house cho họ từ cái lợi mà tặng sĩ hậu nữa. Captain say no.
กูเขา question นะเจ้ากูสาเดียไปถามมาไปถามเขาแจ้งซื้อนะอย่างมันเขาแจ้งจะละหายซื้ออีอย่างเดียวแต่ application นะมันจะไปแล้วไปจะมาชอบกับมีก็มีชอบอย่างละว่าต่อแต่是呢ไปดูเครื่องนะไปดูจีแจ้งนะไปได้ซื้อนะโอเคอีอย่างเลยเดียไปสักตัวตัวนั้นนั่นเนี่ย的 CA ลุงไป这里别人他把宝贝还得得住了如果那一家我们陪面是第二的这些毛病呢我也看电视我教了好像的我也可能我对其他人都教了我的不要那当然了mà họ nói phụ nữ thì chính ra dành được tu trò thì tiền nè cái phụ nữ cả lý giải về chúng họ screen cả tàu tuần này ngồi giờ thì tiền cho là cho đó là application mà thế này anh nhớ ông bác sĩ bác browser nên là nhớ tiểu bây giờ liên thành an sẽ cũng tại bây giờ liên thành an khởi nộp cho là tên là phụ nữ thì bé nên mà vừa bé đa Americaกูจะกับเป็นมองนะได้เลยนะมาเขาน่าสักกับแล้วก็สกรีนแต่มั่วปลุกก็ยังAGUได้กูได้IDกูจอดแล้วนะกูจอดได้ AGUได้กูได้ ID ในเราเองแต่กูแต่กูยังAGUได้กูยังลาฟอกูยังลามองคุยเลยนะไปทุกเครื่องไปที่ AGU เลยนะแต่เบียมAGU นะไปทุกเครื่อง AGU但是讲当到做人呢，变成自然当来做了，变起来自由的，要可能嘛，也到他个门了，也就看起来的可能好几种，我也有都叫100%嘛，就是个被我好真实，被什么好大就老害 ，OK， 今年呢嘛被他拿到这嘛，被原来被叫了被几啥个，每一家都叫那家呢，到那里就被写可以喏。
họ Captain Sai Nu Hai ấy nhớ họ chỉ chán họ biết tu tập thản đâu rồi thế nào bây giờ bao ở địa phận đâu và như giờ cho tu trò chỉ chân á thì chỉ mua họ mình chỉ tuổi lấy tới số lấy ở chỗ mù thì chỉ họ process biết tu tặng nó hay địa tàu show proof chỉ nè chỉ cho biết mặt thả cho proof nó chỉ như giờ họ ấy yếu là lì tàu cái tính năng ấy nữ cho chỗ sẽ chỉ chân nè ok cái họ chỉ chẳng chấp lời mà họ thì bây giờ chủ tàu báo thì họ nói họ chỉ chẳng ấy cho tin năng thực tiền cái có phụ mà apply cho chỉ do nó là bây giờ bây luôn cho mà hay đâu lợi thì giờ này chỉ do này cái này sao apply họ nói cái họ qua rồi bây bỏ chua này giờ thì này cái là apply thì này do thì chỉ do thì họ chỉ chẳng chấp lời nó họ biểu nó cover tan họ bây giờ veteran nó bây giờ veteran như là ô tô trò anh đó để phóng vào bỏ nè kể cho nó là kể sở này belong đến lúc còn hậu từ bé bi mua cho còn hậu chứ trong veteran này belong đến lúc còn hậu từ là chỗ này cho chân veteran sẽ kể đi tàu đây thầu bé sau bé là application bé chỉ sau lúc veteran group bé nhỏ bé chỉ sau còn nó bé sau là bé là SGU veteran nữa nè bé là cho veteran ô tô trò nè ok cho họ nói như vậy thế cho lưu tận năng này hay họ rank cái có những cái chân nè sao cho lưu ấy tất cả nó lúc đó khá nó ní dòng thế thì sao xí luôn đó xí luôn ấy chân của thầu ấy ít thế cho bộ cha cháu chi nữa lo đó thầu nữa lo okay yes Noah
who is helping who's helping drafting all these criteria that if a veteran comes and say I said this and this who's actually helping that verification
so the criteria has already been set up. So Noah's question is about the criteria. The criteria is already set up.
No, I mean who's going to verify that?
Yep. So when we apply and we send it off to the federal government, the federal VA process verifies all that information. We don't do that here at the state. The federal does it. Okay. Now, if you get denied there, then you can apply the special consideration through the state, and that's when we will do it here at the state. But we're hoping that 90% of the people that apply will already get approved by the federal process, and we will only do that maybe 10% that may get denied, okay? So that's why the federal process is so important. Yes, Matan.
Okay. Cú hãy họ còn gian dần xuân đan đủ phát ra phải nụ hài tiề tê yo hài tiề cú nỉ san này phun này pha họ nói giờ nửa họ lửa thì sự cố tụ nó là cái cố tua cái cố lúc san dần lối thổ thì sự cố lúc san của mình đang cái sự cố cho là cái này phân tí cố cho trong ý cái của gì chỗ nè tí đó cũng thể cho to này phân mua nè lúc san là thì tiền phát sẽ bóc lô là tí của thì sự cố giá trị un nó nhẹ là cái giờ lối thổ thì cú tàu lối ấy cái bê bông tê chở nó đó thì khi nó mấy đó thì nó bây giờ tất cả hai nó nửa thì nửa này phun này pha nó lại giờ nửa hậu lử nó nửa cây nửa thì dù sản pha đi trả tua thì sản pha được cú nó giờ tụ này phun trả lúc như hồng tê chỉ cho o tua một tua nhá cái tê nửa tua sản pha còn này quan cỏ vì giờ qua cha chủ khi có cứ lo là có chỉ một tới cái thở cú để số cứ số kia nhớ tổ cái thở lo mà cứ khi có ta mà trong nó cũng mà nhớ sản pha một tới thở America nửa tụ này phun nữa mà xem tới đóng bộ nó cú tua nó lúc san loi phổ nó tàu nó nhẹ từ CIA họ lối e là cái lấy kỹ kia nó cũng chỉ tây bóng tây chờ mà hiện dân gia đó giờ nhà giờ cái nhà giờ kỹ niệm đây phun này pha đi giờ hai là chỉ giờ ly giờ hai là nửa hậu lử đó của hai nó thừa.
ประธานสวนจะขอลุยให้เขาจิกจังอ่ะไปเงี้ยปอไปลูกสร้างถอไปตัวนะไปลูกสร้างถอไปนอนแย่กูตัวจอถอไปว่าเข้าหลุดได้พอเนี่ยพอมดเราไปเกไปสีลูกสร้างเดอ apply นะแต่การเราไปกับสร้างอย่างที่แกเราคอนเดอดูมั่วเนอะแต่สิไปสีลูกสร้างเนี่ยปวดเท้าเดอว่าจะน้องเดอหน่อยก็ถือต้องเนาะใช่ไหมเกี่ยวกับเดออย่างที่เขาจง Okay so yes
I saw this form over here is the from my organization. Is that going to be officially we can use this
Yes.
form?
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing, this form that is part of the handout from the National Cemetery Administration, it says what to send. It also says what not to send. They will not accept the SGU 14. Do not send the SGU 14. The state of Minnesota, state law, will not accept the SGU 14. It is not a recognized document. So yes. So
do we have an example up here by chance
yes.
คือเนื้อไฮเดียขอฟอร์มเขามาแล้วเพ่งมวยได้ฟอร์ม SGU 14นะอีจอของผมเพ่งมวยเจ๋เราไปกับ veteran สีนะแต่ฟอร์มเราไปซะสีนะเลยตัวมั่วซะสีได้นะยันในสีได้นะมูเกเนี่ย application ดีนายเคียร์เลยซะตัว application นะเราตัวมั่ว fly ไฮเดียอี applicationกูจะสาไฮเดีย from นั่นสิอี application ชิจังเนาะมาชิจังเลยเกเนี่ยซะสีเราเนี่ย application อ่ะThat's why 你去讲到那多都叫 open house 那一个，老板你现在就弄到呢。可是你莫那人好给老的啥时来弄，那给老没切到呢。但是你去报你三张的给老的 application 呢，在 form SGU 14呢要做呢，要做 form 头，莫的一个好多张，你去要了去要了给老的那 application 啊，OK。
So this is on the website. The department's website will have this document in English, Hmong, Laotian, Cambodian, Khmer, and Vietnamese. So this says what you need to do for the form, and it also says what documents you should provide. This is also this PDF, this document up on the screen is also on the website. So this says what you can, examples of documents used to establish eligibility for internment. So this Royal Armed Forces and Special Guerrilla Units letter of certification. And, there's more examples of the various organizations. Affidavits from people you served with, and other documents are all there. And then the state special consideration process list is almost the same. We have a few extra things that we will take at the state, like pictures and things like that, newspaper articles and other stuff. Also, the commissioner can ask you for more information if they feel like they need more. But there's the lists of proof, the burden of putting a packet together. We will take copies. So if you submit this to the feds and you send all that stuff in, make copies of all the documents you send in, and then if you get that denial, You fill out the one-page special consideration application and you stick the same packet and you send it to the state.
So hỏi John hai mà nữ hai nó nè thì họ phá kế là một dài là nó này nè có để nó một chế nó để nó họ chỉ chẳng họ nước thêm nhưng mà mỗi cái example hai tia cho là dài nè cái từ tới chỉ cả dài đó nè cái especially cho công hậu này cho là cho công hậu cho phát thang cho long phát thang cho board member nè nên cái nó muốn này sẽ bốc ba này cái members nè này cái veteran member để có lớn ba nó tới cái để sẽ đi qualify đó cái cho nó ní show đi học đó cái vấn đề bé cũng chỉ cho bây giờ mù theo cái của bé mù tụ chân đó thế đó họ để bé cho bé cái này thì cái của ta có bé không được tan họ cái đó cái bé bảo là khá sắp là hay thì còn đây là một bé chế sinh chi bé chơi dùng gì á nên cái sẽ là tôi nó cái nên nó cái lù nó thì bé chế chỉ là ta nó là bé chế một bé hoàn mỹ để cái information nó gì đó cái chỉ không tôi nó là cái lớp bao thế cái bé chế cho cái meeting nó đâu dùng gì á bây giờ ý là bây nó thế chỉ ta bây giờ cho cái bây ta John hay thì điều open house tin là tôi apply nè cái nó là bây giờ cho theo cái bây giờ cho họ để nó đâu. Okay, let's move on to the next. What else do you have?
So we have that we're not in our slide deck anymore.
Will you move back to the slide deck?
We have, even if you're not going to go to the open house, we will have a monitored email box. It's called SGU application MDVA at state.mn.us that Dan will monitor, and we will answer your questions. So you don't have to wait we want you to go to the open house. You don't have to go to the open house, but we want you to have a complete application the first time.
Yeah.
However you go about it, we'll help you.
Yeah.
So for eligibility, just to go back as a
Ben has something to look at the criteria.
Yep.
I was just going to, if you have documents or your families have documents that aren't obviously the same as something you've seen as an example, bring them to us and ask. Bring them to your team and ask. We would rather see what you have than have you self-select and say, no, this isn't an example of something that would give me eligibility. So if there's anything, if you have letters, if you have photos, if you have, bring them to us and ask the question, and so that we can see what's out there. We don't know all of the material that has been generated in the last 50 years. We really don't. And so the SGU 214, we know that's not acceptable, but there might be other documents that exist that are useful. So please don't hesitate to bring what you have to us so that we can help.
So Deputy Commissioner Johnson, mình hãy hỏi chị cho nữa thì ni cái đông tờ nè, nợ lúc còn hậu là ý à, hoặc là YouTube khăn là ý à, vậy nên chỉ bảo để cho để đông nợ bổ sĩ lái nè, cái gì mà cho tua trong lợi chia nó mặc khen này để nó sĩ lái để nó sĩ chỉ lái nè, cái xử lý bảo để cho thừa cho qualify nè, hỏi giờ thìนี่คือเลยพลายนี่ถูกขั้นซื้อไอ้เนี่ยมั่วไอ้จอทอเตอร์ฮอร์โมนจีไอ้จอฮอจิเวอร์นี่คือถอดซามูนี่คือจะอยู่แค่ดีนายเนาะซะแต่ฉันเขาล่อชับเราเนี่ยให้ไอ้คนจีเดียเดียไอ้จอมาอยู่สาแต่โอ้แต่ฉันเขาน่าสีจีไล่แต่สีแต่ฉันก็สีไล่เทียนนะคือเขาล่อชับเราอย่างนี้มั่วจะน้องเตอร์เราไอ้จอดัวเราอย่างไอ้ยาจีนี่สาแต่ยาป้าตัวนี่ควอลิฟายนี่จุดเป้าจังนี่คือยังมันจอตันทอตัวแล้วมันตอนนี้ใช้ไอ้ใดอยู่น่ะđể nó chỉ lấy
Yeah.
Okay.
Deputy Commissioner, can we file a Freedom of Information Act to the CIA to because a lot of these names they have access, they are probably on record. Is there a way for us to do that?
We can follow up with you. We had some participants in the SGU task force with direct experience with the CIA as members of the CIA who gave us some pretty interesting guidance on how best to approach that. But yes,
because I think they would have record of all these servicemen.
They may or may not, but
okay.
We would be happy to follow up on that. We had some subject matter experts on the task force who very specifically were members of the CIA working in Laos.
Okay.
And so yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Noah.
I will also note, in the special consideration process, there's a catch-all other documents line in state law too. So to echo what Deputy Commissioner Johnson said, when in doubt, bring it to us, we'll take a look. And especially on the special consideration process, you should just put it in the packet. So the law, and I know that we've gone through the applying and everything like that. The law had 2 criteria for determining eligibility. The first is being naturalized under the Hmong Naturalization Act of 2000. No one has applied under that. Those folks, if anybody here in this room was naturalized under the Hmong Naturalization Act of 2000, yes, sir.
Nè giờ có application để tôi tỉnh ấy tôi hiểu này là giờ áp dụng đây application muốn nâng đầu giả đó này giờ này để apply for feature để giờ trung tâm giả bỏ
No. Okay. So
เราอย่า
ก็ normal ก็ apply issue ซะก็ apply issue แต่ก็ apply ให้แต่กูสาก่อนนี่ recognize กูอย่าอีตัว SGU veteran เดี๋ยวกู qualify นะก็ apply issue ซะนะเกี่ยวแล้วเมื่อไหร่ certificate แล้วก็แต่ก็อย่าอีตัว SGU veteran เกี่ยวถ้าต่อช่วยอยากจะไปถ่าย benefit ก็จะ apply สิอ่ะแต่เชียก็จะ qualify นี่ก็จะต่อ benefit อ่ะจีเรียแล้วจะ recognize ก็จะต่อ certificate แต่ก็อย่าอีตัว SGU
อย่า
veteran
อีได้ใช่หรอ
issue
เกี่ย
application
จะไอ้trung tâm giả nó muốn ý đại medical nó muốn ý đại benefit nó muốn ý đại nó nên trở hay trong này nào mẹ
อีน่ะเขาเท่าชับเราน่ะเขาเท่าก็ตัวชับเราเกี่ยว apply ให้เด็กก็อย่างอีตัวกูตัวตัวก็ตัว qualify อุ่นได้อ่ะเกี่ยวตัวที่ก็ qualify แล้วเอก็อยู่จะ benefit นอนเกี่ยวก็เจี๋ยตัวมา apply อีกอย่างเดียวแต่ชิดตัวนั้นก็ไม่ก็ได้ certificate show แล้วเด็กกูตัว qualify นะกูอย่างอีตัว SGU veteran นะเกี่ยวอีกอย่างมันก็ apply อีกอย่างมันก็ชิ้นนี้ apply for example เด็กเขา honor guard ก็นี่ honor guard เกี่ยวกับมันถอดลูกกระเป๋าซะก็ชิ้นนี้ apply ไปอ่ะแต่เชียก็ยอมูก็สาก็ตุนังเนาะมู follow ลูก veteran cemetery เนาะได้เกี่ยวแล้วยิ่งมั่วแล้วเขา process แล้วมั่วแล้วแก form ก็ต้อง fail เท่าเกี่ยวกับเรื่องมั่วหนึ่งนะแต่เชียเขาเลยมาตะก้าเลยนะเขาล่อชับเราเท่ากับตัวเกี่ยวยอจุดตัว apply ก็ยังอีตัว official certified SGU veteran นะ
để phong rồi nên bộ kia tao để bên mua nó đó
ได้ form เกี่ยว he's asking for the application for the
để còn đấy muốn nâng đầu giả này
So, but, okay. So they form a B na có tao certification kia they form nó usually là tôi mới pass rồi đó này thế chứ okay they form nó na để chỉ mua chỉ hay fill they form sao thì bị tay cho hay chỉ hay fill they form xin để tao include cho proof hay tên này veteran nó draw mà sao mà sẽ đi qualify na okay so that should not get high get criteria we go through get criteria hay there cho lên to qualify na get bit more actually bit more tanzi okay Noah did you have something really okay
I was looking at this form and one of the things that comes up is military service data. The United States actually abandoned these veterans.
Can I just stop that? Can I just say, on this form, it says specific for SGU what you need to put in. The NCA understands the circumstances that you came here. So you're not going to try to shoehorn into a U.S. military document. There's that's why this is so important, why we want to do the open house, but also why we have this in 4 languages, is so that you could just take this form, take that form, follow the instructions, and submit it yourself if you want to. But the biggest thing is these are the specific things. In the certain blocks, you put in a specific number, you put in your naturalization registration A number, and you put other for block 13, and the rest you fill out is just standard information.
let's go through the criteria okay we go through the criteria there you only get to qualify na okay we go through the na chua ta ke be mo question ke be ma hai da ka okay so the first criteria ke the Hmong Veteran Naturalization Act of 2000 le tu tao sa san the Hmong Veteran Naturalization Act of 2000 na ke ne automatic qualify te shi ne yo chu to apply ka nga ye qualify te shi ye to apply li ka chi apply ke ka chi yo na tàu apply ý dạng cầu á họ cho nên chỉ bảo là họ nó là cái bây cho cái nó bây pan ở state này số nào là cái to recognize này là cái này apply bộ là này tàu tí à na cái go through the same process họ ý cái họ criteria nó họ criteria tí we'll go to the second.
So for criteria 1, you don't need to add the paperwork. So if there's someone in your organization who's was a SGU veteran and they were naturalized under the Hmong Naturalization Act 2000, they just have to fill the form out. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs will understand by their A number that they were naturalized under there, and they will be granted eligibility. But that is not should be. So let's go to the next one.
Yeah. Did someone have a question? Yes. Hachia.
俾咗多家做嘢，俾當成三啲人你唔做啲人你。
cái này tao họ apply ý giả lên nó, cái này chỉ qualify under Honda thì xin này nó state of Minnesota tu qualify cái fill out the application à.
Chỉ俾chủ yếu都係會讓他啊，主要係多咗你只能夠帶佢。
Okay. Yes.
For those before and after 2000, which is eligible, same as 2000.
Yes.
That's
cái mỗi họ cái ý giờ có ít tu sản đồ họ Hmong veterans Act of 2000 cái có qualify. Nó cái giờ có chỉ nó là nó state of Minnesota tu tăng tu sát trái hay để tăng họ biết cái SGU giờ có qualify under cái criteria biết chế thà criteria thì nó criteria thì nó cái có qualify cái nó cái có giờ SGU veteran recognized.
I came here earlier.
Right.
1976, I came here to this country, and look like you talk about only 2000.
No.
Two criteria.
Mỗi họ criteria nè, còn này to thì mỗi họ criteria nè. Ý nó Hmong Naturalization Act of 2000 mà giờ ít họ the federal chỉ họ space state nè, the federal tu tăng tàu benefit cho bây giờ Hmong veteran được qualify under Honda nè. Cái có tao sẽ sang đồ họ cho chạy nữa nè, cho lò cho chạy đó cái có apply một cái loại mua đồ này liền nè. Họ có chỉ幫到họ đó, nó cái có幫到họ đó, state bây giờ họ pan nè, hay để bây giờ Hmong SGU veteran nè, này qualify thì này tao fall under criteria number one nè. Cái number one là cái bây giờ thà thì nó, hay để có用ba cái nông đỡ đã chỉ có thể lấy qualify nè, okay? Bây giờ hay ít cho sao bây giờ off nè, okay? Okay, go ahead and go to criteria number 2.
So criteria 2 is our understanding is most SGU veterans. And so everything we've been talking about, criteria 2, you apply with proof. So you apply with the paperwork. And then they changed the law in 2022 so that there's eligibility determination by the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. So it's service deemed honorable by the Secretary. And that is why there's the application and then there's the documents. That is what we're going to do because most SGU veterans that we've seen so far since this law has gone into effect in August of last year are criteria 2 because they became American citizens before 2000 or after 2000 and they missed that window. So for this, like we've been talking about, effective next week, July 1st, if you didn't qualify under criteria 1 because you weren't naturalized under the Hmong Naturalization Act of 2000, you will do the form, take the paperwork with the form, and we will send it to Wisconsin or you send it to Wisconsin, but it has to go to Wisconsin. It's on the form at the top where it goes, but it's also on our website. This, step by step, what you need to do this application to the federal government. We want to help the criteria 2 veterans through the open house have the complete application. And then we will mail it. We will save you the stamp as taxpayers. We are going to pay for the stamp. We're going to send it in. We're going to do it. Those are the only ways to get it to the National Cemetery Administration is either to fax it, which we're not recommending, or we'll mail it to Janesville, Wisconsin. We'll do it for you.
And John, I just want to clarify that even people who qualify under the Hmong Naturalization Act of 2000 can still use our help to fill out the
Yes.
application. Okay? John, so we're talking about criteria too, okay? Yan này cho tao sẵn sa Hmong Veterans Act of phá na. Cái này tua cái là phá này phiêu cái nông đó na sa mù na. Cho tao sẵn sa under họ act na, họ nói it's a law federal na. Cái này chỉ need to mua cho document nông tao na sa mù cho na. Yan này qualify under họ Hmong 2000 Act, cái này fill the application sa mù sẽ là lợi dụng approve này à, để khi các chị bảo để các qualify để chị qualify để cái, mà cho các cái nông đạo tôi là ba này sai na, là sai cái là bảo để qualify để chị qualify under the Hmong Naturalization Act of 2000 à, cái họ dùng chấp vào, mà cho các cái nông đạo tôi là ba này fail, họ để các chị qualify under the Hmong Naturalization Act 2000 cái cho các ni thùng cả tua na, well let's go to the criteria on your screen. Cho con ni chúng ta tua cái fill the application nó cái tàu ni đó show the original service record documents phần tàu bé chỉ mua cho original service document vì thế bé chỉ cho cô tôi cho em muốn nông tàu tiền cái họ nó bé chỉ mua để xí thế nên tôi mua là chỉ mà cho tua để xí họ bé mua cho nó. All let's say affidavit from a commissioned officer, non-commissioned officer, or other members of the applicant's chain of command. That's another thing they'll accept. Họ nói cái đó affidavit cái ít lần tới sang đó ít tụ năng ấy giờ có tụ share chat có tụ này là ít tụ năng nhá là có lu commanding I don't even know what the word would be. Có lu unit đó, có lu unit nhớ share chat có nè. Cái có là sang ít lần tới hay thì có lợi như bao chân hay thì có những ít tụ tụ trò nhá hậu là lu unit là tụ sai hiểu con đàn nữa nè. Ý cái họ affidavit nữa một cái ý là affidavit from cái tính năng ấy được serve được có chỉ tại tụi này cho cô tụi trò ấy serve được có nè ý là có là họ có là như tàu tí sĩ để sĩ cho cô tụi trò nè lỡ sai the affidavit để lỡ bao chân hay để coi như vậy tụi cô tụi trò lúc sĩ hỏi đó lỡ serve được có nè cái nó sĩ tàu nó cái affidavit nó sĩ tàu là 3B có B qualify cái nói là chỉ chăng vì thế cái nông đó original service record nó mà bị chỉ chỗ mua này cái nó mà chỉ mua này, okay? So so that we cover the original service documents, we cover the affidavit from commissioned officer or non-commissioned officer, and we cover the 2 affidavits from individuals who served with the applicant, okay? Those are the things that we will accept for criteria to be able to screen to make sure that you qualify. Let's go to the next slide. This next one is also very important. The criteria, the proofs you can also bring with you to qualify is photographs. Any photographs that it was taken during the service in Laos. Not photographs afterwards, guys. Photographs during the service, okay? Newspaper articles featured that talks about your service. Any articles or newspaper articles that talks about your service. Certificates of membership from your veterans organization. This is where the veterans organization that you belong to is also very helpful. They can also give you a certificate that says you're a member of their organization. And they've already done their own vetting and their own certification that you are a veteran. The other one is congressional recognition certificate, a certificate of training, letters of commendation, an affidavit of caseworker or former caseworker of the United States Intelligence Service. Okay? Cái nó là cái do ý nè cho công hậu nè. Cho công hậu vậy họ chỉ chắn là cái công hậu của tôi cho họ đi ba tuần này cho bây sẵn thế này cái members nè. Lỡ tôi hay tụ member hôm nay lúc công hậu nè này show ít là certificate lấy là rồi hay tiền lỡ giờ này tụ member này tụ sẽ hiểu tiền lỡ gì ít tụ của tôi cho tiền nè. Nó cái là lỡ rồi nó ba tuần lỡ nè. Ý họ nói giờ hai tiền nên mà đua tôi mới hỏi này ô tu trò nè kia cho cái đua là tôi nè bé hai cái đua mà cái đua buộc thầu này chỉ sơ chỉ cái đua tại xí nó chỉ vỡ nè cái đua đâu lúc xí hậu nữa nè cái nhưng mà cái đua này cái mà cho tôi giờ thì li bây giờ veteran cũng nên đi tôi qua cho documentary nè thế mà cho newspaper lấy show thôi này cái căn cứ nè nhưng mà cái nó thảm sao có tụi khăn này chỉ cho cái nó tôi nè chỉ tạo lên đó sư giờ cái này mua cái certificate cái certificate đấy cho ai tập federal lỡ mua tới cái certificate tôi nên recognize này là ít khu tôi cho cái certificate nó tôi của tôi bỏ này chống này tôi cho này show của nó cho ai tập federal lỡ mua trong này nè cho cái đó tôi nè giờ này mua medal of honor cái purple heart thì út nó cho cái đó tôi nè cái medal nó tôi nè ok cái tên họ cái nó cho ở ban này nè cái chỉ hai tiền này chỉ tao tan cho cái nó chỉ là every single thing on here is what's required. These are examples of things you can bring. Okay, you don't have to have everything. Have some of these things to bring.
I know we're running low on time here, so let's just, it's very simple. Like, can I see this example, the special consideration?
Oh, yeah.
So let's just go through this example, right? You apply to the VA, the VA looks over your stuff, and we are hoping, and what we've heard from the VA is that you should get the letter saying, yup, you're eligible for burial. You bring that down to the department, we issue you the state certificate of eligibility, and you're done. You're verified, you get all the benefits. If you get a negative determination, a no from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, you're not done. You take that letter that you have from the VA that says no, you take all copies of all the paperwork you submitted to the VA, and you fill out this one-page state special consideration application. You also, there's a self, you also, if it's an SGU veteran that's no longer with us, the family member can submit that. They just have to denote that they are an adult over 18 submitting for the veteran. You have a brief summary of your service. I was here these years. This is the unit I was with. Doesn't not need to be long. I declare that the statements herein are true, and then you acknowledge that if you're found eligible through the special consideration process, you're not eligible for burial privileges in state veteran cemeteries. So we want it up front and with your signature that you understand, so everybody's on the same page in the beginning, that a special consideration application SGU eligible veteran is not eligible for burial in a state veteran cemetery, so no one has any misunderstanding about it. Yep.
So, Han John hai mà mua all application á, của show này á, thợ application chap lại mà nè tao fill đại nó mà mua tập federal đó, federal VA còn là qualify nè nè. Giờ để thọ qualify là nó kia tập federal lấy sai đến tao tôi nè hai tên nè qualify đó nè ít tu veteran. Khi nên ga đến tao nó tua trong là state mới là certificate trong này cái ta lên đó, sau đó nè tao nè cái họ SGU veteran à nó. Để xí thì nè sai application đó mua lại deny nè nè, đó sai đến tao tôi nè hai tiền. Bây deny có bây chỉ mua họ veteran benefit trong con nè. Còn đó là cái này mới đến tao deny ổn nó để tiền nè deny nó cái nè ga đến tao nó rõ cho nè tao fill application thì the application thì này để state này nó nên là người ta deny the federal law fill the application nó để state nên mà đã khai sinh này họ case cho là mà khai sinh này họ case cho chỉ là bộ môn tao họ benefit SGU veteran trong này nó okay so all her process okay all right so that she not biết thà ý là nó biết thà idea cái benefit ya ra chi biết thà thì bây giờ only biết thà apply tao cái benefit nó cái tại she nó biết thà thì tuần đây nó muốn bây giờ only biết thà lấy yo what tao cái tin là apply cái benefit nó thì là tao cái benefit nó cái biết tao thà nó ta đó cái họ thì block của thà trong này na thì của thọ này ra cái ba na ý bây giờ mỗi họ meeting gì lên nó na ê có chơi cái tin hình tuần gì thế nào ê bây giờ hát biết tên thôi họ nó biết biết đâu là cái này cái tuần nó là cái นี่สอนหาตัวพอนี่แต่นี่ชิตัวนี่ตัวเต้าเลยนี่แต่ชิกูซาทาคนนี่เจอหรือจอนึงตัวนะไอ้คนละน้อยอย่างนี้นะไอ้คนละเป้าหาเดียวเลยโอริจานะโอเคเก็บไปเฉยมั่วกับมีหนิงสีนี่น้องน่ะอ๋อตัวกูซาถอนนี่เก็บป้ามาขอเดียวนี่ไปใต้จอนไฮไปสันเชียจะเช่าไปหมู่ป้าที่เนี่ย fill application นะเกี่ยมาเลย open house ตัวต่อแล้วดูMDVA office อ่ะแต่ชีอ๋อตัวแล้วกาตัวนี้จะกงเขายังนี่จะกงเขามั่ว office เนี่ยเดียวเจ้านี่ตัวป้าไปกับที่เนี่ย fill application แล้วตันทอเลยกับที่เนี่ยมาตัวไปมาว่า schedule ให้เดียวนู่นนอรู้เชื่อเหรอนอไป open house นะลูกกงเขานะลูก office เองจะคู่ตัวจอในตัวไปป้าใน fill application นะเกี่ยยังแต่นี่สาเขานอเลยเกี่ยที่เต้ากูที่จอนไปมาว่าจอ schedule นะอ๋อตัวที่จะไป有冇洗理的的蒙 village 一ห้องนะให้เดียวqueนู่นนอรู้เชื่อเหรอนอไปงั้นแต่蒙 village นะนี่เชื่อตัวนะเก็บไปเชื่อว่าเขาเชื่อสิเลยไปอุ่นเตาเขาเชื่อก่อนเลยเดียวเชื่อตัวเตานะไอ้ก็ไปบอกจะกี่ป้าแต่สิไปเอาเจอนี่จะกี่ป้าที่เห็นได้มั่วไอเดียอะไรยังมาซาตัวไอ้ก็ไปเชื่อสิป้านะ especially เจ้าของเขา okay so I was just going over that we've already gone through 1, the benefits, 2, the criteria, 3, the open houses. But what we're asking people in the application process, but what we're asking for help for is 1, that we're going to have more sessions like this where we're going to educate people about what the benefits are and what the process is. We're going to ask you guys to help us get people who still need to know to come to that next informational meeting. 2, we're going to need especially the organization's help with identifying locations of where you think is best for us to have the open houses, whether that's your organization's office or in the community space, where we can have those open houses where it's easy for the community to come to, so they can get help fill out those applications. So that's a partnership we're hoping to have with all of you and especially the veterans organizations, okay? So is there, I think some of the next steps I want to talk about is 2 things really quick. One is something that John Yang had brought up about the honor guard benefits. I know we touched a little bit on this before. There are some barriers to accessing the honor guard benefits. The MDVA staff is committed to trying to smooth over some of that process, to make sure that some of our American Legion, some of the VFW organizations understand the new passage of the law and that they can offer some of those benefits. But the most important thing is that in our community, we know we have a much more demand than maybe even the organizations out there that are currently providing the service can handle. So within our own community, I would like us to discuss and brainstorm outside of this meeting. Does the different organizations within our Lao and our Hmong and our SGU organizations have the capacity to do honor guard services for our community? We will not get the stipend, but it does not mean that we can't provide that service, okay, to our community. We can still provide the service, we just won't get the $50 stipend. So we can have that discussion some more about could that be an option for us? So now we're not just relying on the current system for that help, okay? Captain Sainu?
Cô muaเขาก็ใช้น้องเดียเขาไปrecruit จะเนี่ยเจเลยจะปนเนี่ยทหารนะตัว member นั่นน่ะเจแต่ฉะนั้นดันเบียร์มันเจ include จะปนเนี่ยอย่าเบียร์
No include ท่า Captain Sainu
มาอยู่สันน้องก็แจ้งเดียยังเขาไปจะก็เขามาmua cho bên này chỉ trong nhau là họ nè, lại chia từ thái hà bên này, chia từ bên này thái hà xưa, thái hà bên này xưa, mà lại cho này là lại chỉ lúc này để đây bên này thái hà, giờ bên bên nào là bộ qualify tao là chỉ qualify tao.
Captain Sainu, you have question chỉ chân chập lời nè, nè,เขาเบลนอมานี่ผ่านมานี่เชียเด็กก็อย่าป้อนเนี่ยจีนั่งก็จะ qualify อ่ะเนี่ยเด็กก็ไปอีตัวกูตู้จอน่ะก็ไปตัว serve SGU น่ะเกเขานอเขาจีแจ้งอ่ะรู้สิเขานอไปเป้าแต่ฝั่งจ้องมาจีนั่งน่ะ แต่ชีแต่มั่วจะป้อนเนี่ยเอ็นควอลิฟายละหนึ่งยี่ควอลิฟายอีอ่ะแต่ชีชียตัวป้อนเนี่ยนะตัวกูตัวจ่อชีตัวนอนอ่ะอยากก็อยากตัวจริงก็เลยกูตัวจีเนี่ยตัวกูตัวจ่อกูอยากตัวป้อนเนี่ยนะหนึ่งซื้อแต่ชีกูชีตัวเซอร์ที่กูชีควอลิฟายอ่ะ only ตัวกูตัวจ่อควอลิฟายสินะแต่ชีกูอยากอีตัว nurse นะรู้ชีหันนะกูอีตัว nurse เอกูอยากอีตัวเราเทียนเนี่ยนะเอกูอีตัว nurse ป้า比較好多在做麼呢？看到佢有呢度 service 呢，看到佢 qualify 啊，嗱，嘅你走啦，嘅看到你報到，不然只能攞到做個影響呢度veteran 都是看到啦，呢度個攞呢停嘢咪加停嘢都個我做弄到啦，嘅個只大有要度 veteran 都在nhau的 feel 咁多啊，個要度5小時都曉得喏。ก็อยากตัว nurse take care ใช่ไหมกันนอก qualify อีกอย่างเก่านะประธานโอ้ครับเดี๋ยวใส่หนู finish กันดูเกี่ยวกับประธาน
จะขอเทียบว่าจะนอนเนี่ยแต่ CIA นะสิเลเดนมั่วจะว่านาสวัสดิการจะนอนจะไปป้อหรือแต่มหาลัยต่อที่ไปป้อจะนายครูเนี่ยจะนายครูนอนเนี่ยแต่ CIA แค่นี้เป็นได้ใช่ไหมคนเรียนว่าพอแค่นี้
เกี่ยวกับศึกษาเขาในครูกูมันนุ่งแล้วแต่ก้ากูมันได้แค่เก็บแบกตัวนี้อ่ะแต่ชีเขาไปถามมันมั่งมาแต่กูไปชิดเอาถามใส่กันในครูนะแต่ชีไปหอเขาถามส่วนไปถามมันมั่งให้เด็กเจ้า nurse นะเจ้า nurse เจ้า doctor เจ้าไฟเจ้าหมอเราตีนั่งเจ้าไอ้นี่ radio เจ้า not qualify ตาเลยอ่ะแต่ชีเจ้าไปชิดเอาถามเกี่ยวกับในครูเกี่ยวกับกูชัวร์เขานอกกูมันได้แค่เต้นแล้วเนี่ยประธาน
กูเสนอตัวก็ถึงจะเตลูที่ฉันรอจับปอนเนี่ยมามั่วแต่ที่ยังเจอนะที่จับปอนเนี่ยยังไม่ต้องจอดแต่ที่ย้อนเลยเขากูจะเนี่ยนะชัปเตอร์นะเจเตมั่วจอนาสติกาเนอะเซอร์โรเซอร์หมอโจจอทุกจอต่อเด็กเนอะที่ตาเนอะhọ cũng ba là mua cho này một nữa mua cho này một mà cho này một mà giờ CIA lấy thể nhiên đồ té á thì thể nhiên đồ lấy cho tôi muốn đây có biết cho chút trơn nhà nó muốn tao cho nhà nó lo nó chỉ như cho tụ nó nữa chị cho kho mình tàn kho nó chỉ biết qualify na America kia cho nhau đồ lòng phao kia cho nhau đồวันnày một
Okay, so they have some important questions, and the question is, who qualifies? Does nurses, doctors during that time that served, but they weren't on the battlefield necessarily, but they were paid by the CIA to care for the injured. The people who were distributing food, they actually held a position to distribute food. Would they qualify? And how about the teachers who taught at the base camps of where the soldiers were and the families were? Do they qualify? So specific, and I said that I remember us talking about the nurses and the like people who worked in communications, like radio, versus like on the battlefield, that those would qualify, but I'm not sure about the actual teachers.
My understanding on this, and I think it was made clear during the NCA presentation, is that the veteran has to have operated from a base in Laos. I don't think it's job specific. So if you were a nurse at a base in Laos during the Secret War, and you have, let's for example, you're a member of a veterans organization, you have a letter from your fellow nurse or your nurse supervisor that says this is a nurse caring for the wounded at a base in Laos, and you have those affidavits and the other documents, I think they should submit. It's not, the way I look at this is, I was in the infantry, but I served in Afghanistan with people that were driving a truck or doing other things or working in a hospital or whatever. They're just as equally a veteran. So the location is what matters. Has to have operated from a base in Laos during the Secret War. So I think this is another one. All we can do is try. So I think if you have people that you feel like maybe they're like, I don't know, I was a nurse, I was a teacher, if it was on a base in Laos and they have some any kind of supporting documents, we will talk to them, we will help them with their application, and we can try. And again, if they're rejected by the NCA, they can apply to the commissioner, and we can evaluate it twice. So they should try.
Okay,
Yep.
wonderful.
Yep.
And one question he also brought up, and I said no to, was would widows of the veteran? I said no, widows are not included. It doesn't matter if they're male or female. If they served, yes, they would qualify.
Yes.
But they have to have served during that time period and in a base of laws. So so
that is correct.
So then John clarified. Do be hai tia. I có giờ tụ này khu có giờ tụ ở trong mỏ có giờ tụ phái trong mỏ có giờ tụ or communication sư có giờ tụ nurse có tụ ai chỉ là chúa có những cái ít tuổi là thể nghiệm cho có cho hậu lượng đó cho lúc xí hậu tu bị một cái trò nè giờ có ổn định hoàn toàn chỉ vợ có tất cả đều chỉ vợ thì sẽ có ổn cho lúc xí hậu mua cái lúc về nào mua thì nhà phong bạc bỏ là sơ bên này cái có qualify nè để khi họ lo chấp là giờ có ổn cho cái base in Laos bây giờ base baseตัวจอnè所以thì có nhớ có ilu lá là tới chầu đó có ổn này cái đi chỉ vợ thế à giờ tao ilu base nhớ họ Laos như có ổn cho đây nụ nó đồ cho chế năng là cho family là cho cô tu trò rồi hậu lúc xí hậu nữa okay
so I thought that cho tu trò ba tổ chức America สมัยที่จะปนตัวโจอีเคนเนดีก็ที่ท่านในคนไทยเบลเลตัวก็เป้อวดจอมาวิยอขอเดียเป้ป้าอเมริกามาเป้จอปอนเนี่ยเราเลยย่อต่อเจ๊เราย่อจะเป้ย่อต่อค่ายเราเลยตัวนี้ล่ะที่สี่นั่นแหละยังหมดเกี่ยวกับขอตัวที่สี่ตุนที่จะอ้วนเจเป้ยังก็คอลิฟายโตเขาจะตุนที่อ้วนเราเป้
โจละหมดผู้ซาประทังแล้วมวยต้องหมดผู้ไอเดียร้อยตัวอ้วนจอได้หนุ่มนะร้อยตัวอ้วนนี่ดาวนะเกี่ยโซร้อยจิ้มยาเดียร้อยยาป้อนเนี่ยไม่หยัวยิ่งย้อนถอดก็รู้สิเขาเนอะเนอะรู้เบสนะแต่ชีร้อยจัวป้อนเนี่ยไม่หยัวแล้วก็ย้อนซึ่งก็ร้อยจิ้มเราก็อ้วนจะได้หนุ่มได้เกี่ยร้อยจิ้มควอลิฟายนะโอเคOkay, John, did you have something?
Yeah, I want to just go back to the honor guard. I want to clarify
that. Your honor guard benefit.
So I want to clarify that the National Guard and the U.S. military cannot provide that because they fall under the federal regulation. So that's why we have to go to American Legion. We have to do our own or VFW because they're under the state. So we're working on a list of phone numbers, a resource list. So if you call one post where they're booked already, you can call multiple different posts that can provide that honor guard service. So like I said, within the past 2 months, we ran into a bottleneck where there's so many requests and they were all kind of booked up already. So and we'll work on a resource website through the MDVA. I'm working on a website where I'll provide the information like this video here today. I'll post it online as well.
And John, I want to thank John for working with our veterans to identify some of the gaps. And one thing that was identified was the honor guard and the access to that. So John has committed to helping us develop with the MDVA a resource list of all the places we can call for honor guard services. Okay, so that way you go to one spot. If you call, you know all the organizations that will offer those services to us. And then of course I know you guys will go back and discuss about your own organizations to see if you have the capacity to offer that to your members and to other members as well that are veterans, okay? So that is the end of our agenda. Is there any last minute things we should discuss? Know that you will hear more information coming from myself, from John Kelly, from Deputy Commissioner Johnson, and from John Yang. You'll get more information from us about the next information sessions, the next open houses. You'll also get information from us asking you to partner with us at some of those open houses, okay? So there's going to be a lot more communication. But if you are running into issues, if you're running into questions, feel free to reach out to John, myself, Mr. Kelly, and Mr. Johnson.
And I left Dan's card, his business card on the desk. So if there's not a lot, but if people want to take a business card, they can reach out to Dan.
Wonderful.
So
Dan's business card is over there. You guys can grab that too. If you have any questions, you guys can ask Dan too.
So on our department website, it went live this afternoon. There is an SGU page on our website. It's been on there since last year. It was for the task force, and now it is for the benefit. And this has all the paperwork. If you lose all this, it's on the website. It will be on the website. It says coming soon because we're waiting, as I mentioned, on those translation pieces. But the VA form, the spreadsheet, the presentation with the examples, the explanation documents and translated, the special consideration form, it's all, and just explaining how this all works is all on the website. We also will have an application email, like question box, it's SGU application MDVA at state.mn.us that Dan will monitor. Dan Tangwall, who was sitting here, you have his business card, is our main point of contact for questions for this process. He's also going to be coordinating with the county veteran service officers. He's a former county veteran service officer. He has a lot of relationships. We are going to be working very hard to stand this up. We'll come where you want us, and we'll explain this as many times as we have to. The biggest thing I would remind everyone is all the benefits, everything, doesn't start until you have that paper from the department.
Correct.
And you can't apply for special consideration until you've applied to the feds. Everything is tied to the feds. So let us help you. We look forward to helping you.
Thank you, John.
And I heard Hmong Village sign me up for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I just want to say on behalf of our organization and all the veterans in our community, we want to thank the Commissioner's Office,
Yes.
MDVA, and all of you, Susan Pha, along with John and his committee. Your tireless work is only the beginning. And we look forward to really make sure that all the veterans here who are not here get what they deserve from this bill. So thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you. So John, hi there. If you guys look at your packet here, the website address is the very last page, okay, guys? Then họ để mong tới bên mua nó nè, mình nhon đồ để phong tới đó họ website nè. Giờ thì bây giờ thì cho chỉ tao tua nó nè, rồi mi cái nón tới nè, chỉ nên mua họ website nó đâu lại một cái nhỏ hộ, cái là chú tao thay cái nón tới nè. Nên mua ai chỉ khóa sẽ lại mà thì tao tua rồi bây chỉ ở ba này thì họ nó mà có hành gia nè. Bây giờ hậu lực chiến đấu hẳn á, tận đây là mùa. Giờ cũng có thọ này sở đời nè, chỉ hai cho công hậu là, cho bát thang là, cho board member là, bây giờ member, tí sĩ cái veteran là tí sĩ nè. Bên này ba bé thế hả? Bên này của này ba bé kia rồi được cho thế còn nó bao để cái benefit cái đó chi, cái criteria cái đó chi. Nó nói bên tôi bên cầu tao á chi là, bây giờ open house tận đây nói với họ lúc xí họ đi cho lỡ tua. This is the only way. Họ từ bây chỉ mua, bây chỉ bao trắng là bây giờ họ có cũng chỉ bao trắng kia có khu tụ nó mặc thế có. Nhưng mà mua của số tông mua đó Deputy Commissioner John said thế John Kelly có số tông trâu nè, còn bây giờ mà phá lỡ. Kìa, ở chỗ đó này sẽ đợi nó nói đi tua nè, ở chỗ đó này sẽ đợi. Thank you so much for all of you for coming together. This is truly a partnership in order to make sure all of our veterans get the benefits that they deserve. But we're relying on the organizations and the members, all the veterans to help us, okay? Okay.
Paper